Master Willem, I've come to bid you farewell.
Oh, I know. You think now to betray me.
No, but you will never listen. I tell you, I will not forget our adage.
We are born of the blood, made men by the blood, undone by the blood. Our eyes are yet to open.
Fear the old blood. I must take my leave.
By the gods, fear it, Lawrence.
You're listening to Bit Harmony, a video game music podcast, and I hear that a podcaster is still a podcaster, even in a dream.
Oh, hell
I'm
yeah.
Matt.
Hell yeah, dude. Coming in with the Mikolash quotes already. I love it. I was thinking about what I should say. I was like, should I say like, and I'm Seth, or some say Cosm, or something like that.
Okay. My original thought was, when you're seeing the cutscene with Father Gascoigne, or maybe it's when you're fighting him and he goes like, "What's that smell?" But then I was like, I'm insinuating that I'm stinky if I do that, so then I don't want to do that.
You know what? I will say for my part anyway, I'm not stinky today. There have been times recording this podcast where, dear listener, I've been stinky. But not today. I'm pretty clean today. I'm in good spirits today.
I would argue that's not in the spirit of Bloodborne. I feel like Yharnam is just dank.
Oh,
you wouldn't want to go anywhere near that place.
That bonfire too, like just the. I don't know if you've ever been around a bonfire that's like been burning for a long time, but like that has a certain smell to it, especially when it's like got bodies or whatever in it, I'm sure. So,
or like giant troll things that we don't know their meaning or makeup. Hey, if you didn't know, you're listening to the Bloodborne episode of Bit Harmony.
Hell yeah.
Very excited about this one. The music is a very big departure from probably just about every other episode we've ever played on this show. Way more score sounding. You're not going to hear any kind of happy-go-lucky, like Donkey Kong ethereal music here. Nope, this is all, I shouldn't say all, it's mostly just pure dread through like shrieking violins and whatnot this episode.
Yeah.
Before we get into it then, our intro this episode, we're opening big, honestly.
Yeah,
I debated on if we should open with this, but I feel like this has the energy we need for this Halloween episode, kind of. We are opening the episode with Ludwig the Holy Blade from Bloodborne, The Old Hunters, the DLC to Bloodborne. Unlike most Japanese developed games, there's actually extensive notes out there about who composed every single song in this game.
Good.
So I can tell you, based on the liner notes of the official soundtrack, that this was composed by Nobuyoshi Suzuki. And again, this is from Bloodborne, The Old Hunters, and we'll be right back. And that was Ludwig the Holy Blade. I think the actual like full title is like Ludwig the Holy Blade, and then there's like the second part of the song is separate. It has a separate name. I don't know.
It's like the Accursed and Holy Blade, I think.
Yeah, that sounds right. We'll just go with Ludwig the Holy Blade from Bloodborne, The Old Hunters. God damn. Like what? God damn, this is such a good song.
Well, like we really are starting, like this is my favorite song in all of Bloodborne, my favorite boss fight in all of Bloodborne. Like we have started at the peak for me with this.
I think I agree. This is like probably objectively the best song in all of Bloodborne, and I do really like the fight itself. I like that there's two. I mean, this happens regularly in Souls-like games, but there's two very distinct phases when Ludwig is like fighting as the wild horseman, as it were.
Yeah,
and then after the halfway point, and he pulls out the Moonlight Greatsword, which. Can we let's talk about the Moonlight Greatsword for a moment and how that's just the coolest weapon, and I love that it's a recurring thing in like every FromSoft game. It's
gotta be top 5, maybe even top 3 video game weapons of all time for me. Like, I love the Moonlight Greatsword. I always like look forward to the moment when I can get it, like in a Souls game, and I remember like playing Bloodborne the first time being like, what the hell, man? You know, like where was the moon? And so like when this DLC came out and they basically said, oh no, not only is it in here, but we've effectively designed lore around it, a boss fight around it, a whole moment around the Moonlight Greatsword. And when you get into the second phase of that, and he's like, my guiding moonlight, I'm like, dude, oh. It goes crazy. Like I remember popping off at that cutscene. I still get chills like thinking about that. I have chills right now thinking about that cutscene.
While doing like our shared notes and my personal song notes for this episode, so many times where I was getting chills, either thinking about the game or just listening to the music. And yeah, that was one of them. I rewatched the cutscene for this like 3 times. The reveal trailer for the DLC used this song as the music, and I rewatched that like 5 times. I think that might be my favorite video game trailer of all time. I think the only one that can compete is like the final Breath of the Wild trailer, which is also very good. But I like I was saying, I don't know that I think this is like my favorite song in the game, but I do think it is like objectively. It's definitely the best bombastic boss fight song, I guess is what I'd say.
Sure.
And like, yeah, bombastic is like the perfect word to describe it. But like even before it gets to that bombastic spot, just those like super ominous strings in the opening that's leading into the chorus, like you really know like, oh, what did I get into when you start listening to this song?
Yeah, like the cool thing about this this entire song, the moment in the game and everything, like, you know, the 2 different like phases of that fight are essentially 2 different sides of Ludwig's like personality or something. And when it opens, like, yeah, like you said, it's got that heavy emphasis on like the strings, the choir and stuff. Like it sounds like a horror movie score. Like in that moment, it really emphasizes the kind of like bestial nature of that like first opening of the fight. But then when that tonal shift happens and the song, it's around 4 minutes 20 seconds, and that's when things really pop off. Like the horns, the brass section comes in, the time signature of the thing changes. There's like the giant crashing of the cymbals, like, and what's cool is it ends up feeling waltzy, like a dance or something. And the fight feels like a dance. Like the way that Ludwig, like, he puts his whole body like into every movement, and when you're dodging, like when you're dodging to avoid his attacks, it literally feels like you're dancing with him. And
it's worth noting real quick, if anyone listening isn't aware, Ludwig is also like a giant half horse, half man beast at this point.
Right. So he's like kind of dragging like the like horse beast behind him kind of thing. And just there's so much weight to every movement that he has. And like he, every swing has him sort of just like, I don't know, like vaulting himself to the other side of the room. And it really feels like you're just trading this, a lot of people describe like video game boss fights as like, it's like a dance or something. But no, this really does feel like you're dancing with them. And the song has that feeling too. It's beautiful. It's got so much build to it. It's got so much drama to it. Oh my God. I get like fired up about it.
There's like unbearable levels of build up and anticipation in this song. It genuinely is dreadful, like in a good way, in a great like songwriting way. But yeah, this is such a standout song. Like the reason I got excited about doing the Bloodborne episode is because immediately I'm like, oh yeah, then we can play the Ludwig song
totally
on the show.
Yes, it would have been worth it to just talk about this song. Yeah.
But then, yeah, we also get to talk about like one of my favorite games of all time. On top of that, I'm very excited to get in here because I've never actually like, talked to you about Bloodborne, even though like I know how
depth.
We both feel about it. Yeah, I'm genuinely excited to get in here and like really get in the nitty gritty. I will just say that I've heard this song like no joke, probably like hundreds of times because when I was at my peak Bloodborne obsession, which is, I'd say around November, December 2015, right when the DLC came out, I was just getting home from work, and I would just log in to Bloodborne and Sherpa people through the Ludwig fight for like hours, because I was also leveling, I was getting materials, blah, blah, blah. And also the fight was just so cool that that's what I wanted to do. I would spend literally my entire evening just helping other players get through and beat Ludwig. So the fact that I've heard this song so many times, and yeah, I'm still this excited and amped up, and I'm still like the hairs on the back of my neck are standing up just listening to this song, that should tell you just how electric this all is.
Electric is a great word for it. Yeah, like it really does. Like this is the kind of moment in a video game, the kind of song to really underline that moment, that like it's like, damn, dude, video games, like this is what video games can make me feel, like I don't get excited about much in this life anymore in this old age. But damn it, Ludwig the Holy Blade, like that'll put some hair on your chest, dude. That's what this is all about.
It really, like, we'll talk about it when we get into the Bloodborne proper, but yeah, like Bloodborne changed how I feel about video games as a medium, and like made me feel differently about like what they could accomplish and like the storytelling and the gameplay. I love Bloodborne. I'm very bummed I didn't have a chance to replay it for this, but I'm very busy right now. Also, I've played that game like 30 times in my life. It's fine. It's
like you get to a certain place where it's like, how much more is there to uncover? But yeah, I mean, I would love to get back in there at some point and replay, because it has been a while for me too.
I replayed it a couple years ago. It was shortly after Elden Ring came out, so it couldn't have been more than like 3 years ago, I guess, at this point. But that itch is starting to come back now, especially as we're recording this episode. I'm like, damn, I might need to fire Bloodborne sometime soon. Did you have any other notes on Ludwig the Holy Blade?
No, we should move on, or else we'll be here too long.
Well, hey, this might be a shorter episode. I said that about Castlevania, but let's see what happens. There's not too much.
You've damned us. You've cursed us now. You've spoken it into existence.
Yeah, the orphan of Kaz, the fishing hamlet's going to be over our heads for the rest of this episode now. When it comes to general housekeeping, the only real reminder, you are in the middle of this spooky Halloween-ish block or whatever. We are going to have a Gunbrella mini episode over on the Patreon sometime next week. That's going to be the closer of the spooky block. After that, I think November 2nd, maybe it's November 4th, one of those dates, whatever day is a Sunday, That's going to be our season finale, and we're going to play a kind of musical video game quiz show thing. Fulia suggested the idea a couple months ago, and we'll talk about that more at the end of the episode. We might have some reminders to send out about if people want to participate in that in a certain way. But we'll get there at the end. But I think that's all we really had for that. Any kind of general reminders. I don't know if we had any reviews or comments or anything.
I looked at them. I can't remember what the number of Spotify reviews we were up to last time. We're at 25 now. I feel like maybe that's a new one.
I think 25 is what we're at on the Castlevania episode.
Yeah. You have a better memory for that stuff than I do. So there you go. Well, that just means that if you haven't reviewed the show and you're listening to us right now, you should feel bad. You should feel bad, and you should make amends by reviewing the show right now on your podcatcher choice. 5-star reviews. We really appreciate it. We again, it helps the show grow. It helps new people find us. We actually had somebody join the Discord this past week. That discovered Bit Harmony. So I bring that up. It was super cool. It's always cool when somebody joins the Discord and says hey, I found y'all from Bit Harmony or whatever. And I bring that up because it really does matter. Like people finding the show genuinely matters, and doing something as simple as leaving a review helps that happen. So yeah.
Just do it. You're gonna make us plead. What the hell, man? Come on. You're gonna get stuck in the hunter's dream at this rate. I don't know what's wrong with you.
I'll keep shaming you until you do.
Always. We're always looking for opportunities to shame people. What did you think then about our previous episode, the Castlevania 3 Dracula's Curse episode of the show?
Oh, I loved it. I thought it was great. I had a great time. It is not often that it's one of those episodes where I came away from it being like, and this is always my favorite feeling when recording a podcast, especially like the kind of like single game focused podcast that we do, where it's like, oh man, I've always wanted to talk about Castlevania 3 that way, know? So it, that feeling was there. Great music, obviously. I want to actually highlight, and I promise this isn't just a shameless plug for the Patreon. The Rondo of Blood episode, the mini we did last week for the Patreon was fantastic, and genuinely maybe top 3 soundtracks we've ever played in the history of the show.
I think so, yeah.
So y'all really should check out the Patreon and check out that Rondo of Blood mini. It was really good.
The only reason that episode got relegated to a mini is because Seth hasn't played it, and also the game isn't that long. There isn't that much to talk about with it, so I didn't think it would fit the full format. But in terms of its soundtrack quality, yeah, it would have been deserving of a full episode. Yeah, really, really fantastic. The only thing I really want to say about the Castlevania 3 episode is it's always the episodes that I kind of just slot in out of nowhere that end up really impressing me. That was an episode I came away from even before getting to editing, just leaving the conversation where I was like, oh yeah, we had the sauce that episode. I can tell the energy was there. I can tell that's going to be a good one. Right.
Yeah.
It's just funny how that works. The episodes that I put a lot of thought into ahead of time just end up being normal feeling episodes or whatever. I hope they're good. I hope people like them. But then I'm like, oh yeah, we could do Castlevania 3. Why didn't we think of that earlier? And then yeah, it was really fun. It was a really good episode. And yeah, of course, always check out all our minis. I think there's 9 minis in total over there.
Something
so if you're not on Patreon, there are 9, and they're all over an hour long. So there's 9 hours worth of Bit Harmony that you have not heard.
That's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. And again, we're doing a Gumbrella one next week too, so it's going to go up to 10 by the time you're hearing this, or close to the time you're hearing this. With that all out of the way, then we do have a little tiny baby. Sean Capri presents the state of the Nintendo Music Address. And I want to emphasize the segment is a tiny little baby, not Sean Capri. That's all. I always run into trouble with that, though. It would be funny imagining Sean Capri's like normal adult head and voice coming out of like a baby, you know?
There was a part of me like sometimes when so I should really just kind of like break the illusion for the listener and tell you that like when we're going on, like segments and stuff like that, like I'm not hearing the little like break, music little stinger that Matt puts in there, but I am playing it in my head, and the version that I played in my head was basically like Sean's laugh but pitched up like a baby. So that that's pretty good. I have seen Sean was a cute kid. Can I just say I've seen baby pictures of Sean. He was a cute kid. So
baby Sean can present this Nintendo music segment of the episode. The reason that this is a little baby mini one is because all they added in the past 2 weeks was the Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door, the original and remake soundtracks of the GameCube and the Switch version. That is big, even though those are big soundtracks, even though one of them is just a rearrangement of the original soundtrack. But the problem is we did a full episode on Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door very early on, actually. I think it was the 6th episode, if I remember
Is that
correctly.
right? Was it that early?
I think so. It was definitely in the first 10 episodes.
Wow.
And we talked for a long time about Paper Mario and Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door and Paper Mario in general. And if I'm being honest, I think that Thousand-Year Door episode is one of the best early episodes we did. I would say it's maybe only
6.
second.
Yeah, you crushed it. Yeah.
I would say it's second only to the Monkey Ball episode of those first 10 episodes we did. So if you really want to hear us talk about the Thousand-Year Door extensively, you can just listen to that. But I don't mind talking about it a little bit here. I mean, hey, it's cool that they added both of them at the same time. I wasn't expecting that. I don't know about you.
No, yeah, I wasn't expecting that either. It is funny, like if you listen to the Castlevania 3 episode, I did kind of call this a little bit. I didn't think we were gonna get it so soon after, but I was like, oh yeah, like now that Princess Peach Showtime was added, like I feel like maybe some other games from like a year and a half ago, like Paper Mario: Thousand-Year Door and Mario RPG, maybe those are up, like for consideration for Nintendo music. So I kind of felt in my bones that maybe this was going to be coming at some point, but I didn't think it was going to be like the next week.
Yeah. I wonder then with Mario RPG, because I know Square owns like a lot of the rights to that game, maybe even like basically all of them.
Yeah.
Besides anything Mario related, obviously. So maybe that's the holdup there, because that came out well before the Thousand-Year Door remake. That was like a solid like 7-8 months before.
Yeah, because that was like November of, was that 23 or 22?
23, I think.
23, yeah. And then Thousand-Year Door would have been the following July. Yeah.
The most interesting thing about this drop to me is the fact, that they added both the original and the remake or remaster soundtracks at the same time. But also, they're still breaking the format that we've come accustomed to, right? Again, we had it a little bit with the Princess Peach Showtime drop a couple weeks ago, and they've continued it with this. But besides that, like, I think the Thousand-Year Door soundtrack is a good soundtrack. I don't think it's the best Paper Mario one by any stretch of the imagination. I would honestly say the Thousand-Year Door is maybe one of the worst Paper Mario soundtracks. But again, it's not bad. And it is cool how much work they put into the remaster soundtrack. Like, every chapter's battle theme is unique. They don't just reuse the same battle theme throughout the whole game. Some real cool battle themes in there. They made some new music for the Switch version, I know. But otherwise, I guess I don't want to talk about it then, since you have a full episode, a whole like 3.5 hour episode to listen to.
I'm with you. I don't really, like it's cool that they did it. I'm glad that, I'm glad that we're allowed to get something like this, and it is like a feast. Like it's a lot of music, and to have it all, and it's good stuff, but yeah, I don't like, the unfortunate thing is these are also kind of the most boring drops to talk about, and that's kind of like accentuated by the fact that we literally have a whole episode about this exact soundtrack. So, I mean, that is kind of cool because we can point y'all towards that, especially if you haven't listened to that episode yet. But yeah, like, this was cool, but it didn't like get me fired up or anything. For me, I'm just gonna give this a straight B, just a standard B, I think.
I think I was leaning B minus, just mostly because they took a week off because they added this. And again,
right.
I understand why. I get it. Like, they did add like hundreds of songs, but at the same time, I'm like, yeah, it doesn't really excite me because, yeah, it's a soundtrack that's not, I don't know, it's a very well-known soundtrack, a well-known game.
Right.
Again, I just played it a little over a year ago, so the minus isn't anything personal, Nintendo. It's just that, yeah, you took a week off, so I'm tacking the minus onto that. But otherwise, I think that has been the little tiny mini baby junior Sean Capri presents the State of the Nintendo Music Address. Are we ready then to go on our next break?
Let's do it.
We're going to go on a break for Hunter's Dream and Father Gascoigne the Hunter. These are both from the base game Bloodborne, and both of these tracks were composed by Ryan Amon. And we'll be right back. That was The Hunter's Dream and Father Gascoigne the Hunter from base game Bloodborne. With Hunter's Dream, this isn't like a song I would normally go out of our way to break for on the show, but after the Ludwig song, I felt like y'all needed a break.
A come down. Yeah.
Yeah. The issue we ran into with picking songs for this episode is that most of the music in any FromSoft game, but especially Bloodborne, almost all the music is just the various boss themes. And while they're cool, like, yeah, there's not much in the way of like relaxation. So yeah, I just figured this is probably the song you're going to hear the most in Bloodborne, considering it's like your hub area where you level up and stuff. Why not insert it in here for both of those reasons? Yeah, in general, I was very worried about how listenable this episode would be. I mean, I still am picturing someone like getting in their car, listening to this podcast, and then like those shrieking violins from Ludwig's song are playing.
Yeah.
And, hey, I guess you'll deal with it. You know, if you got in your car and started listening to that, at least you know, like, hey, maybe I should pause this and listen to it someplace else if that's not your style. But yeah, I like the idea of kind of breaking our own format, featuring more score-ish music on the show. I'd like to do that more often. You know, we're nearly 40 episodes in, and this is the first time we've really gone out of our way to do that. But yeah, otherwise I don't have many notes on this song. It's just like a pretty simple, like pretty beautiful, but also like creepy and ominous song.
Yeah, I have a couple things to say about that. It's, first of all, I was not prepared for how nostalgic hearing this again would be for me. Like when I heard that song again, I was like, oh man, like I was getting like kind of like, you know, misty-eyed, like thinking about Bloodborne, like, and it kind of did take me back to like playing this game for the first time. And it was nostalgic, hearing this again. But I'm glad that you played it here, because getting to listen to it like on its own a bunch, like making notes for the show and everything, kind of made me appreciate like the individual components of this song, because it is a really simple song, right? Like there are really only a few components. It's very atmospheric. I mean, the Hunter's Dream in general is a tiny little area in terms of like Dark Souls hubs, you know, or Soulsborne hubs or whatever. Like, it's pretty small and undetailed kind of by design. You know, I think my favorite hub in this whole series is probably Majula from Dark Souls 2. But Hunter's Dream is probably a close second, considering how, like, I don't know, like kind of compartmentalized it is. It really captures that like sad tone, because it is this like ethereal, dreamlike. I mean, it is a literal dream, but it's like this dreamlike version of like Gehrman's like workshop, like the hunter's workshop and stuff like this. Like, it's a real place you can go to or whatever, but it's like this dreamified version, and the music is sad. Like, it's this sad, like wailing, like cello. I love cello. I'm a huge cello fan. Maybe my favorite instrument, full stop. But then there's like this soft kind of vocalization, which I assume is just meant to represent, like, in my mind, Gehrman is represented by the cello, and the doll, who is kind of like your shrine maiden or whatever in this game, is the vocalization. It is how I kind of read into it. And so this song, as simple as it is just representative of the components of this dream. And so, like, the tonality that it captures for me is like, these are the few things that Gehrman is able to hold on to in his dream. Just like these little things that he grabs onto because he doesn't have anything else, you know? So anyway, that's probably way deeper of a read into this than is warranted, but
I don't think so. I think that's pretty fair. I mean, yeah, if you're not aware, if you never played Bloodborne or like a Soulsborne or whatever, we'll talk about some, like I've kind of reserved the section of the show for the next break or after the next break to just be us talking about the lore because I do think that's the best part about this game and the characters and stuff. And I think Gehrman might be maybe, I was about to say the most tragic figure in any of like FromSoft's Soulsborne games, but there are some characters in Elden Ring that I think are maybe just as tragic. But yeah, no, I when you first get here and you get here early, and like I said, you come here often. This is probably it's your hub, so you are always coming back here. Really, I don't know. Without context, you just think it's kind of like a soothing, calming place. You know, the background is kind of ominous. Like there's just weird like pillars in the background sky and stuff. It's very Lovecraftian. Obviously, that's. If you know anything about Bloodborne, you know that it's inspired by H.P. Lovecraft. We don't need to dwell on it too long here, but they really nail that dreamlike quality, and they also nail the fact that like it feels very like it's very gaseous to me. Like it's like it's like trying to grasp onto a fleeting dream, you know? And it's kind of what it feels like. But also, as you get through the game, and we'll talk about this later, you maybe don't want to grasp onto this dream. This is maybe an awful nightmare with like just beneath the surface that you don't want to know about, and that Gehrman is actually like trying to protect you from and whatever. And yeah, I think that's a pretty solid read on it. That's kind of how I always read it, especially the female vocalization. I always assumed that had to be like the dolls kind of like wailing in a way or whatever. But yeah, no, I think that's good. I also think that's very representative of like what we're going to be talking about this whole episode. So if you're not interested in Bloodborne at all, either turn this off now or get interested, because this is what it's going to be, I think.
Yeah, you better get it. You better start getting interested in Bloodborne or turn away now.
I mean, you know, when I first played Bloodborne, and we'll talk about this later too, I really liked it, but I didn't engage with it beyond it as like a video game. And it's a very good action RPG. It wasn't until a few months after I'd beaten it, I saw like YouTube was recommending me a lore video. It might have even been like Vati Vidya. I'm not sure whose lore video was specifically. Yeah. And I watched it. I'm like, oh, that's what was happening the whole time. And that instantly made me turn my PS4 back on and go and start a new file. Because I'm like, oh, with just this tiny bit of context, now everything, all of a sudden, it all starts like slotting into place and making so much more sense. And all of that is there. You just have to be patient enough and pay attention to it. Same thing with Dark Souls and Elden Ring and blah, blah, blah. But yeah, this was my first encounter with Souls games and whatnot. So I didn't have that learned vocabulary of like, yeah, if you want to enjoy this as more than just a game, you should like shut up and sit down and like read the item descriptions on everything and maybe even take your own notes and stuff. So if you've never played Bloodborne, but you like the music that you've heard so far, I would hope that like maybe the way Seth and I are going to talk about it and its lore and whatnot might make you more interested than otherwise, because there's way more on offer here than just like a hard video game with like gross monsters.
Yeah, definitely. And it's a shame because, you know, these games are often just reduced to that. And like, you know, that is what the game is, and you could engage with it that way. But like, dude, there is so much more going on here than just that. And that is the kind of thing that I think elevates the entire experience so much, where it's like, I could have played this with no understanding of the lore or whatever, or thinking about, you know, these moments critically like this, and enjoyed the game and thought it was like a great revelatory thing. But like, that's when like kind of opening your third eye a little bit to that stuff, that's when it really like goes up to another level. Yeah. And
that's how I feel about all their games. Though I've never really sat down and done like a lore run of Dark Souls 1. That's like the one. I mostly don't know what's going on in Dark Souls 1, if I'm honest, but I have a very good understanding of like Elden Ring and Dark Souls 3 and whatnot. But with Father Gascoigne the Hunter, this was a very, very last minute ad because I realized like this is probably the most infamous like player wall block in all of FromSoft's games. Like this is the first mandatory boss fight in the game, though I think most people are probably going to encounter it second, would be my guess.
Right.
And I think if you were someone that like was new to the series, even if you were a veteran with Dark Souls, Bloodborne plays a lot differently than I think people give it credit for, and they really want you to pass this exam that is Father Gascoigne before you're allowed to see the rest of the game or whatever.
Right.
And so yeah, I think a lot of people heard this song for a very, very long time, and it felt like I kind of had to add it in here, you know?
Yeah, because when you first start playing the game, I mean, especially if you're coming off of Dark Souls, and I know that we'll get into this too, but like, you know, you might feel the inclination to like slowly plod your way and very defensively plod your way through the game up until this point. But then when you get to this boss fight, it's like, no, you can't, because you have to be aggressive because now like you are actively being hunted, you know, by this guy. And you can't, you know, play defensively. And even if you like try to play defensively, if you try to hide behind those like tombstones or whatever, it's like, no, dude, like there's no defense for you here. You have to attack. You know,
the only defense you can really have besides good parries with your gun, essentially, we'll talk about that later too, but is if you chose the axe as your starting weapon and then you have the long version of it on certain tombstones, you can back up and do a charged R2 and hit him through the tombstones, but that only works in phase 1 because then he turns into a werewolf and starts hopping everywhere and destroying tombstones and over tombstones. So yeah, even if you can find a cheese like that, the game is like, no, you're not doing that for too long. You're not getting the entire way through the fight by doing that. Like you have to engage with the mechanics or beat your head against the wall until you get lucky or whatever.
Right. Well, and there's also a little lore layer to this too, because I remember the first time that I heard, oh, like you can use the music box in the first phase of the fight, and it like stuns him in his human form because the character that you got the music box from is actually his daughter, you know. And I was like, wait, what? You know, like that's wild. And but the thing about that is doing that will trigger the werewolf phase or whatever earlier, and I'm like that's just so cool. Like that's, you know, kind of illustrates what we're talking about. Like the things that makes this game so cool is stuff like that. And yeah, like that feeling of like intimidation, being hunted, being unprepared for this fight is conveyed in the song. Like it's this, you know, like building series of like strings and drums and brass and stuff. Like it really does feel scary. And then when in this it's like around 145 when it really pops off and it really becomes like kill or be killed, you know, and you start getting these little like stabs like on the strings that like it sounds like a slasher movie. Like it sounds like what like that like like it kind of like it sounds like that like a you know like Psycho or something. Like that's literally what it starts to sound like, and I'm like, man, I just think that's so cool. Like it's such a cool tone for this fight.
Yeah, I had notes about that transition to the second phase. It feels so unsettling with those like high pitched like just jarring shrieks or whatever with the strings. And that fits so well because Gascoigne literally turns into this big hulking werewolf-esque thing and is hopping around and trying to like jump on top of you. He does so much more damage than before. Yeah, so cool. This was really the moment where I was sold on just the core concept of like, I'm like a werewolf hunter in this game. Now, that ends up not being true, but at this point in the game, that's kind of what you think you are, basically. You're hunting down these beasts and whatever. The only other like real specific note that we haven't touched on is that, I mean, you mentioned that this music and fight feels like you're the one being hunted for the first time. And that that da-da-da that happens around 25 seconds. It's straight up iconic to me. Like, that is maybe the most iconic set of notes in the entire Bloodborne soundtrack. But yeah, that to me is like really, I'm like, oh, this is like a predator stalking its prey music, but I'm the prey in this case.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah.
Did you have any other notes you had for Hunter's Dream or Father Gascoigne?
No, I'm glad we played it. Like I'm glad we played this song for this break, because it actually is one of, I mean it's definitely one of the most iconic fights in the game. It's the first big wall, I think, for people. Yeah,
like I know multiple people that stopped playing the game at this first mandatory boss fight, which I like, I get it, but I was stuck here for, I'd say, less than an hour-ish the first time I was here. And yeah, the main thing is, and to be fair, the game doesn't tell you this, they just want you to use your gun and figure out when you should be using the gun to get your visceral strikes in. We'll talk about what that means in a little bit, but much like anything, much like Silksong, much like any like hard game you can think of, they're usually just trying to teach you something in that moment, and you should try and like take a step back and examine what you're doing and what's working and what isn't working. And like, hey, I have a gun. It doesn't really do much damage-wise for me, so what is it here for? It's for you to essentially parry. They just didn't want to give you a shield in this game.
Yeah. So I was hesitant to bring this story up, but it really only makes sense to bring up here. I didn't want to get too far ahead of myself, but quick story about this fight. So when this game came out, I was just like, I had just kind of not been working at GameStop. I left GameStop in 2013. So I was pretty recently removed from my time working at GameStop. And I remember going to the midnight release of Bloodborne, and they had the game set up, like they had rented like a TV from the rent-a-center next door or something, and they had the game set up there and people could play it or whatever. And at a certain point, I grabbed the controller and started playing just in the opening, section of the game. And, I just was playing it for a few minutes, and I didn't really like care to sit there and play for a very long time. Because like I was going to get it home and play it myself. Right. But I went to put the controller down, let somebody else play, and like, oh no, like we like watching you play. And I was like, okay. So I just kind of kept playing, and I played all the way up to that fight, and I died to it a few times, and I was like, I don't really like these people watching me like fail at this boss fight.
Yeah, that sucks. I hate that.
And like there's a lot of pressure from like the people that are like, oh no, keep going. I'm like, no, I'm good. Like I don't want to sit here and just like learn this in real time, and like this is not the experience I want to be having with this game right now. And so it was like it was this kind of like weird, I don't know, like social anxiety moment, and that was my first ever encounter with this with Father Gascoigne.
Yeah, that sucks. I can tell you I remember my first encounter was I called off work that day because my copy of Bloodborne came in. I was like, I'm just not going to work. I'm going to play Bloodborne. I think I was even streaming it for my now wife, and she was watching a little bit of it. And yeah, I remember getting to Gascoigne. I don't remember really the actual how I felt about the fight. Like I said, I remember beating it like within an hour. Like it wasn't that big of a deal, and then finding out later that this is like a huge wall for people.
Yeah,
was very, very interesting to me. But I guess then let's start talking about some Bloodborne proper. Bloodborne was released in 2015 for the PlayStation 4. That sounds so old now. The fact that
that's crazy.
A decade ago, and like
the
PS4, I remember when that felt so new, and now like we're nearing the PS6, and that feels real bad to me. I actually bought my PS4 for this game, like the week it came out. We'll talk about it later. I know I keep saying that, but I was like a largely predominantly Nintendo only gamer, and this is the first non-Nintendo hardware I'd owned since the PS2.
Okay.
And yeah, I again, I had no experience with Dark Souls or anything beforehand. I just thought this game looked real good, and I wanted to hunt some werewolves, so I ordered a PS4 for that. This was developed by FromSoft with some kind of input from the now defunct Japan studio. That was like PlayStation's internal, again, Japanese studio. They made a lot of good stuff, or were involved with a lot of good stuff, and they're just gone now.
Yeah.
Published by PlayStation, which is interesting, but you know, at this point, Nintendo's publishing the Dusk Bloods and stuff, so FromSoft just they're in everyone's bed, I guess, at this point. Bloodborne is still exclusive to PS4 after all these years, and people will tell you very, very, very excitedly how mad they are about it. I think a remaster or PC port of Bloodborne has become, now that we have Hollow Knight Silksong out, I think a PC port of Bloodborne has become like the most annoying gamer baby thing to ask and demand at this point. I'm so sick of hearing it. I love Bloodborne so much, and even I don't care anymore. If it happens, that's great, but like, can we just let it go at this point?
Right. I mean, look, to be clear, they should do that. Like, I get it. Like, I want to play Bloodborne in 60 FPS as much as the next guy. Like, yeah, they should do that thing. However, has it not been made, like, what more do you people, how many times do we have to teach you people this lesson? Like, has it not been made clear to you that Sony does not care about Bloodborne? You know, like, if it was never more obvious to you that Sony didn't care about Bloodborne, like, I don't know how you still beat this drum anymore, you know?
Right. I also think that with the PS5 remake of Demon's Souls, it would not surprise me if they're saying, hey, an easy layup for the hardcore fan base would be a PS6 port or remaster of Bloodborne.
Yeah.
I can totally see it happening. Now, I don't particularly want like Bluepoint doing that, and I'm not trying to throw too much shade, but yeah, I didn't like what they did with some of their artistic choices with the Demon's Souls remake, and I would prefer like FromSoft to be the ones to do it, but I think it's gonna happen at some point. But I just hate that, like, we literally went from every new conference that's announced, oh, is this Silksong, is this Silksong, is this Silksong, to now I just see, oh, it's Bloodborne time, it's finally Bloodborne time. Even if you're joking, it's pretty annoying at this point for me.
Yeah, like, I'm so divorced from the idea of it now that I'm just kind of like, and it also, I think, devalues the idea that, like, you know, hey, the game still exists, and like, you can still play it. It's readily accessible to you, you know, like, it really couldn't be more accessible to you. So, you know, it's not like this, it's not like this lost hidden gem, like lost media or something like that. Like, you know, you can go play Bloodborne if you really want to play Bloodborne, dude. You just want it to be prettier and run better.
This game sold like 7 million copies or something. Like,
right.
Yeah, it's fine. It's readily available. It's often on sale for like less than $20, I think. Like, yeah, you can go play Bloodborne, and you should. If you own a PlayStation 4 or 5, you should play Bloodborne if you haven't yet. If you're not aware, Bloodborne is an action RPG, or Souls-like, as the kids are calling it. I shouldn't even say kids. I feel like it's the middle-aged people that are calling it that nowadays.
Yeah.
Instead of a dark fantasy setting, this time you're in Victorian England with werewolves and witches and vampires and such. Again, until you're not. The very, very, very general plot, I wanted to leave this as vague as possible so we can get into it later. But the very general plot is that you're a nameless hunter that shows up in Yarnum with a condition called pale blood that is like never explained ever, not once.
Sounds cool though.
It does sound very ominous and cool, yeah. Just like everything in this game, honestly. Yeah. You sign some kind of contract from some weird looking doofus. You get a blood transfusion, and you then get told that everything is going to feel like a dream, and then some weird shit happens, like some weird skeletons with like flesh still like start grasping at your face and whatnot, and then there's like shadow werewolves and stuff, and then you're in the hunter's dream. We talked about the hunter's dream a little bit, but you're tasked with killing beasts with these tools that you get from the Hunter's Dream that's run by Gehrman. And also the doll is there. I know this all sounds like gibberish. I'm just trying to get through the plot real quick, and then we'll talk in depth later. Eventually, you realize that actually the main threat is not werewolves and vampires, but actually eldritch gods from outer space, and also the cruelty and ruthlessness of man. And that the werewolves and witches and vampires were mostly just brought about by people like am I remembering this right? Like they found like the carcasses of like eldritch gods in a cave, like the Tumerian cave or whatever.
Right.
And then they were like, we should just drink this blood, and then bad stuff started happening. I think that's basically what happened.
That sounds right. Yeah.
And yeah, that's basically Bloodborne. The main lesson being don't consume blood. They to be fair, they do repeat that over and over. Like don't mess with that blood, boy. You boys quit that drinking of the blood.
From the beginning, like they really are telling you that the whole way through. Yeah.
Fear the old blood. That's literally the
old
password
blood
to get to Bergenworth. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know you were someone that like engaged with Dark Souls with like pretty early on, right? Like maybe even day one.
Not day one, but well, I don't. Do we want to go into like a brief history, or I guess my brief history anyway? Because I know that you have maybe more of a winding path with this, but my brief history with this series is that when Demon Souls came out, I did not like it. Really at all, mostly because I was like a weird contrarian guy. So I was working at GameStop when Demon Souls came out, and literally everybody that I worked with at GameStop at that time was like a huge Sony fan person. And so like every first party PS3 release was like a major event. Like it's all any of my coworkers wanted to talk about. They made a huge deal about it. But if I wanted to make a big deal about like a Nintendo game or something, I was like the idiot baby, you know? So, and I had a PS3 at this time, and they were like, oh, you got to play Demon Souls. It's incredible and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay. So I took it home with furrowed brows, you know, and played it and decided that it wasn't for me after, you know, maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours. And I think mostly I just wanted to come back and be like, oh, that game you guys love actually sucks. And so anyway,
the ultimate victory that you can have in that
totally
scenario.
Yeah, totally. I think I just wanted to like stick it to them in some small immature way, the way that they always had to me. I remember I was the same way with Heavy Rain when it came out, you know, like
but like Heavy Rain sucks though.
they were way into Heavy Rain when it came out, and I was like, oh, this game you guys like sucks. Actually,
can we pause for a second and just I want to ruminate on the fact that like small town Louisiana GameStop was full of Demon Souls and Heavy Rain fans. That sounds like the Hunter's Dream to me. You actually were in the nightmare.
It was anything that was like a Sony exclusive. Like if you gave them an inch, they would take a mile, you know? and then like the stuff that I'm like, you know, my favorite stuff on PS3, I'm like, I want to talk about like Tokyo Jungle and like Critter Crunch, you know, like stuff like that. Nobody wanted to, but I digress. So I didn't like Demon Souls when it came out, and when Dark Souls came out, and I had heard that it was basically a sequel to that, I had totally written it off in my mind, and it wasn't until my cousin Todd got way, way, way into Dark Souls that I was like, okay, I guess I'll give this another look. And when I finally played Dark Souls, maybe like a year after it came out, absolutely loved it, and I still consider it one of my favorite games of all time. And so anyway, I was in from that point on, and coming into Bloodborne, like I was really excited. I was day one on it. Like I said, I was there at the midnight release, playing it in front of a small crowd of people and stuff, and it felt big and significant. And I was really into that sort of like tonal shift into this kind of like, werewolves and vampires and stuff. And it's become well known that the game has like Lovecraftian vibes now. But when the game was new, we did not know that.
Right.
Like we all learned that together, you know, and there's something I think special about that. Like that's the kind of thing that, like, once the lid was off on that collectively, and the game's 10 years old now, so like everybody kind of knows what's going on there. But like, try to imagine coming into Bloodborne not having any idea it was going to be like that. Like we thought it was basically just going to be like horror game, werewolves, vampires, you know, Dark Souls, but that is basically what we thought it was going to be.
My impression was that it's going to be like Dark Souls, but like Scooby-Doo. Like,
right.
There's just a bunch of like Halloween enemies in here this time. Yeah.
Yeah. And so like, I don't know, man, like something about unpeeling the layers of Bloodborne, I think is so crucial to that experience. And it's almost a shame that the game just, again, with the passing of, you know, time and stuff, that is like a well-known component of the game now. Like, it's almost a shame that it's probably impossible for the modern gamer, more or less, unless you truly came into this game knowing absolutely nothing, like never hearing about it from everybody. If you were coming in completely blind, you'll probably never have that experience that we all had back then, learning this stuff in real time, you know? So yeah, very cool. Like I love the tone of this game. I loved it already when I was first playing it for the first time, but I remember being like pretty mind blown because the game takes that very specific turn, and we all remember that, you know?
Yeah, I would say the first like third of the game is like, yeah, again, werewolves, vampires, witches, and whatnot.
Right.
And then you get to the forest, and you start seeing hints of other stuff. And if you go to the right spot in the forest, you can straight up find like little aliens. And I was like, what is this? I was like, okay, these must be like mushroom men that they just look like aliens. But like, no, they are actual, like, I'm trying to remember all the lore details, but like they might not actually be aliens, but they're like humans that were transfigured in the hopes of communicating with celestial beings, but still they are definitely trying to evoke like little gray men.
They look like that. Yeah.
Yeah. That turn around like the 2/3 point of the game into full on Lovecraft is one of the coolest things I've ever experienced in a game. Again, we'll talk about it more in depth in a little bit, but yeah, I kind of just wanted to hear, as someone that was like playing Dark Souls already at the time, like, what your excitement levels were, what your thoughts were going into this change in setting and stuff. For me, I played a little bit of Dark Souls 1 on the PC version. I was gifted it by my buddy Jim. I liked it at the time, but my PC wasn't running it that well. And also, I wasn't in the headspace to try and learn how to play that game at the time. I mentioned before I was mostly a Nintendo centric gamer at that point, and to go from like Mario and Zelda and Pokemon and Kirby into Dark Souls is a very big jump. Like I get why, like there's so many mechanics that aren't explained. There's all these menus and stuff. They're amazing games. I also consider Dark Souls 1 to be one of the best games made in my lifetime. But yeah, you need to be in a certain frame of mind, I think, to be able to fully enjoy it, or just be patient enough to go in there and learn it without any, safety net or anything. But yeah, I bought Bloodborne, or I bought a PS4 and Bloodborne solely because the trailers were cool. I loved like the Victorian England vibe of it. One of the starting weapons is a cane that turns into a whip, so then I was immediately going into the Castlevania mode of like, like I was I think I maybe even made like Richter Belmont as my first character and went with the cane whip and stuff. Yeah, like that's why I bought it. So then this rug pull around 2/3 in of like, no, that's aliens now, actually. Like that actually, it was amazing. Like I feel like they did it at the right time too, because if they had like pulled that alarm a little bit earlier, maybe it wouldn't have been as effective. But yeah, again, we'll talk about it in the next section, I think. But yeah, it's such an effective moment, and or not even effective, but just powerful and alarming and scary. And
We don't get that often in media in general, but like definitely not in games. Like where we all collectively had that experience of like, oh man, like it's not often. Like there have been a couple of moments in my life where I remember that communal feeling of like having that moment with other people and like, you know, that sense of discovery, that shift that we all felt together at the same time is such a cool and rare feeling. And you know, it reminds me of like seeing Get Out, like in the theater for the first time. And when that movie makes, you know, takes a turn and stuff, and, you know, the audience together in that moment is along for this ride, you know, and it's like, oh man, like that's what's going on here, you know, like what? like this is so much more out there than I expected this to be going in, you know, and that, like, that is such a special feeling. You just don't get that very often anymore. And like I said, like it's one of my favorite memories of Bloodborne in general is just having that feeling of like, dude, like, did y'all get here yet? Like talk to me when you get here, you know, like
I was gonna maybe save this for a little bit, like when we start talking about the gameplay specifics, but also if you happen to save up enough insight, and we'll talk about insight later probably, I think it's if you have 40 insight, you can actually see the amygdalas like on the buildings and stuff early, which
so
also
cool, dude.
That's such a goddamn cool mechanic. It's so good.
And like just like this massive, like, oh my god, this was here the whole time, like just like bearing down at you. It's crazy looking. Yeah.
And it's like it gives you such a feeling of like existential dread in like in video game form, like, and that's something that rarely has ever happened to me either. But yeah, we'll save a little bit of that. I do want to go
Bloodborne's so
over...
damn cool, dude. Sorry.
Bloodborne's amazing. No, it's fine. It's fine. We can have interruptions to just shout out about how cool Bloodborne is here and there. I do want to quickly go over some like the general gameplay structure and mechanics, especially comparing like the differences with Dark Souls, because as I said before, there are more differences than people give it credit for, I think.
Yes.
One of the big differences is that in Bloodborne, the weapons are bespoke, meaning you're not just going to get random like swords and knives and daggers or whatever drops off of enemies. They're usually like in the environment or gotten from specific shops or NPCs. So again, each weapon is unique, and that means like they're able to make each weapon feel different and give it unique animations and movesets and stuff. At the same time, this also contributes partially to the fact that there's not much in the way of like build variety in Bloodborne, which to me is the weakest part about the game. It's kind of like you're basically either going strength or dex or arcane is basically the main. There is the blood tinge thing too,
Right.
but usually you're not going a full blood tinge build. And also, I wouldn't really recommend going a full arcane build either. It just makes replaying the game like a little less exciting than something like Dark Souls 1 or Elden Ring, where you can just do so much. It really doesn't feel like that. Like, I don't know, Bloodborne is like, it shares more DNA with straight up action games than the other FromSoft, like Souls-likes do, which it's not inherently bad, but it is different and it's worth noting.
Right. Well, and I do wonder how that landed with the larger audience. Like I wonder if that made the game more appealing to people or not. Like I wonder if I would be interested to hear if you're a listener, like drop a comment or something, or let us know in the Discord, like if that was something that appealed to you, if Bloodborne was like your first pathway into this. Like, 'cause I would be curious if that was done with some intention of, yeah, let's make this, at least on the surface, a more straight-faced, you know, kind of action thing. Make it a little bit easier for people to get their way in, because I do remember, especially with Dark Souls 1, like there was kind of like a lot of people who were like, oh, well, before you start playing, you should really look at a build guide and stuff like this first. And you don't really have to, but there's all this like, you know, there's this like intimidating nature to it that maybe that decision removed from Bloodborne or something.
Yeah, and that makes total sense, especially with this next note that I have, which is that shields are basically non-existent in this game. There's like a wooden plank shield that's basically useless, and
Right.
the item description even makes fun of it. It's saying something like, yeah, like people who use shields are cowards or something. In the DLC, there is like a mirror shield or something that's like a little more effective, but uh, this was done specifically because Miyazaki, the director, specifically didn't like that basically every player in Dark Souls 1 just turtles up behind a shield. Like they basically just do the same build with everything. So he kind of was like, well, okay, then I'm going to take away your shield because I don't like that all of you are doing the same thing. Uh, so instead of shields, your left hand in Bloodborne is primarily holding guns and firearms. Again, there's torches and stuff too, but so the basic idea is instead of like parrying with your shield and then riposting an enemy, in this one you are shooting your gun at the right time during an enemy's attack animation. And if you hit at the right time, they get stunned, and then you can like dash in and then do a visceral hit, which is basically the same thing as a riposte. It just looks kind of cooler because you have a gun instead of with a shield or whatever. So the game just kind of emphasizes aggression way more than Dark Souls ever did. You can also see that with the way that when you get hit, you don't immediately like lose your health. You have like a little red bar above like your current health, and if you hit enemies fast enough before that goes away, you get some of your health back. So it's really trying to emphasize like, hey, get in there, be aggressive, take some damage, it's okay because you'll heal it back anyway. Very, very, very different than Dark Souls 1, where even I, a seasoned at this point Souls player, yeah, Dark Souls 1, I'm just running everywhere with a shield. Basically, like
Yeah.
almost never am I like two-handing a weapon or dual wielding. No, I just have a shield up all the time.
Yeah, I mean, Bloodborne, that approach really changed the way I thought about these games in general.
Mm-hmm.
And really kind of just I love that regain system. I think it's so cool. I love it. Like anytime a game adapts that in some way, I love it. Like Silksong kind of has that at least a little bit with the silk, like getting back some way to heal yourself with getting aggressive and attacking.
Mm-hmm.
I think is just neat. Like I think it's like a neat way to incentivize engagement from the player, like because otherwise, yeah, like you really can, and I did a lot of times, especially playing Dark Souls, just play like a very scared, defensive, and it kind of depowers the player because you're almost waiting for like openings or something, and there's value I think to that kind of play style, but I really like that feeling of like fighting back, and I do feel like Bloodborne represented a turning point for this little genre, like of now I think that's almost standard practice with a lot of games like this, where I don't think if you see a game like Lies of P or something, for example, like you're not seeing like incentivization to play super defensively anymore, because I think that people that are inspired by these games realize that just from a pure gameplay standpoint, this approach is just more fun. Like
Right.
it's just more fun and it's more engaging. So yeah, I love that.
I'll also say, yeah, playing Bloodborne then made me approach Dark Souls 3 differently than I would
Totally.
have otherwise, and especially Elden Ring. My entire first playthrough of Elden Ring, I did not use a shield once. I was very proud of that fact. I just had a katana and a staff. I was doing like a dex int build, and I felt so cool playing the game. Like
Yeah.
I feel so like naked and out in the open, but at the same time, the fact that I pulled it off felt amazing. But yeah, Dark Souls 3, I was like power stancing katanas. I'm that type of dork that I'm usually using katanas in these games if they have them. But yeah, I think Bloodborne, you're right. It was like a turning point both for FromSoft developed games and for games inspired by Souls likes. And yeah, for the better, I think. Now again, it is cool that in Dark Souls 3 and Elden Ring, you can play with that classic turtling up behind the shield style. but it's also cool that in Elden Ring in particular, you can just do any build you want and you're going to have a good time.
Having the option is cool. Yeah, like letting players do that and kind of approach the game how they want is cool. But like I do remember like post Bloodborne, my first playthrough of Dark Souls, it was like, heavy as possible, like as much protection as possible, fat roll, I don't care. I'll do the heavy roll, I'll do the fat roll. Like, it doesn't bother me because I can tank it, But now when I approach these, like I do basically exactly what you're talking about, where it's like, well, it doesn't matter if I don't have much defense if I don't get hit, and I'm just like rolling around everywhere and I want the lightest roll possible. And, I'm dodging and I'm getting in there and I'm being aggressive and I focus on things like my damage and, critical and stuff like this. So, like that, it did, like Bloodborne actively changed the way that I approach action RPGs in general. Like literally before Bloodborne, I was that sword and shield, tanky, hunker down, kind of guy. And now, like, I'm not that at all. It's interesting that like a game making this just kind of like, I don't know, very like smart decision to really like kind of organically change the way that you consider the combat in this game can completely open yourself up to a different mindset. Like how like that should be the purpose of game design, I think. And I don't know. I think that's really cool. And Bloodborne definitely represents a turning point for my play style in games of this type.
Yeah. It's very, very intelligent, even if like you said, I generally am not really a proponent of taking away play styles and like taking away the shield, but in this case, like it is kind of funny that in the game's lore, they're like, nah, shields suck. What are you doing? And then they force you to not have a shield. I think that's pretty cool.
It was like necessary that we did that we had this step. It was almost like they had to like teach us a lesson or something with Bloodborne before then we could like get to a place with Elden Ring, for example, like you said, where you can just kind of do whatever you want.
Though on the opposite side of smart decisions, I think probably the most questionable design choice in Bloodborne is the fact that they eschewed the Estus flask established in Dark Souls for the blood vials seen here. So kind of going back more to the Demon Souls style of you have like your heals are consumables, basically, meaning at some point or several, you're probably going to have to farm for them. It's very, very inelegant, especially when you consider that they literally made the best heal system of all time with the Estus flask. And it's kind of like, I don't really know why y'all did this way. But it never bothered me as much as other people, or as it did for other people. I don't know about you.
Okay. This might be one of the hottest video game takes that I have. I like farming. I like farming. Like
I don't think that's that hot of a take. No, it's fine.
I feel like farming became a dirty word at some point. Like I feel like people view farming as an objective waste of time. Like why should I have to go and farm or grind? I think those words have such negative connotations now, and I'm like, I find that valuable experience. Like, to say nothing of the fact that like I have to get these consumables and these are things that are necessary for my progress in the game. I think that like building your taking that time and building your familiarity with the area you're farming in is a valuable experience. Like when I can get to a place in a game, I'll bring up Silksong again, where I just go, like my go-to farming spot was that like big vertical hallway in the bell hall or whatever. And like just farming for, shards and, rosary beads there. Like I got to the point where I could just do that like with my eyes closed. And I think that's valuable. Like I like that in games. Now I can concede that it is inelegant and it is something that I think puts up a certain barrier for some players, but I like for me personally, I kind of like it. Like I kind of like it when a game makes me do that and go out of my way to kind of like learn a space and learn enemy encounters. And I don't know, like I like mastering. I mean, it's the neon white thing. Like I like mastering little areas of the game, and I think that farming allows you to do that.
Yeah, I think for most people the problem is they start running out of blood vials while they're fighting a boss over and over,
Right.
and they get frustrated because, oh, now I need to go farm blood vials before I can even continue fighting the boss. My opinion on that has always been, I feel like that's intentional. I feel like they either want you to like stop beating your head against the wall and like take a breather almost, and like go farm blood vials back in like the starting area of the game, slash maybe go explore in a different area. Also, I learned to do the parry stuff with the gun by farming blood vials and shooting the troll
Totally.
dudes. Like that's how I
Yes.
learned how that worked. So I don't necessarily fully disagree with you. And like I said, it never bothered me as much as other people apparently. But I do think that the Estus flask system is like ingenious, and it is a little weird to me that they went back to this, but also I do see value in farming for multiple reasons, like you just said.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like I just, even in like RPGs where people are very turned off by the notion of, like in some RPGs, especially older RPGs, that you have to grind levels. And I mean, look, I don't like playing, I don't like going back to old Pokemon games where you don't have EXP share. I don't like that as much as the next guy, but I do think there's value in it. I do think that it gives you a certain connection to the world around you. And I just don't know when gamers took this turn of time spent being wasted time. Like if I'm not always making forward progression, then the time that I'm spending is being wasted. And I just don't agree with that.
The Pokemon example is a very poignant one for me because I hate EXP share, because I understand why it's good. I understand the objective good stuff about it, which is mostly that you get to experiment with more Pokemon. Like you can level
Right.
a new Pokemon up faster to get on the rest of your team's level and start playing with and have a wider variety of Pokemon to deal with. However, I ever since they added that as the standard, which was like what, Gen 6 maybe?
Yeah.
I feel less of a connection to my Pokemon. I realize
Absolutely.
that is not an objective like factor. I realize that's in my head and whatever, but it doesn't change the fact that that's how I feel about it. It used to be I really like I thought hard about what Pokemon I wanted on my team at what point and whatever in like the old Game Boy and Game Boy Advance games.
You had your dudes, right? Like these are my guys. Yeah.
And then if I really wanted to like try different Pokemon, I'd either wait for like a replay or something, or whatever. But yeah, I liked the pre EXP share existence of Pokemon. I mean, I guess a different version of EXP share has always been there, but yeah, the modern Pokemon take on EXP share is a little too overpowered for my liking, but I get it. I think Pokemon just isn't for me, being honest anymore. Back to Bloodborne. I did have a note here about the PvP multiplayer is way more of an opt-in thing in Bloodborne. Like in Dark Souls, if you're playing online, at some point you're going to get your humanity restored, and then someone is probably going to invade you.
Right.
And that can be frustrating. And I can tell you that when my wife, she played Elden Ring and she absolutely loved it. That was her first Souls-like game, and she wanted to play more. And I was like, well, the Dark Souls Remastered is on Switch. It's perfect for you. She immediately bought it. She was having a good time. She beat, like, I always forget the first boss's name. Or maybe it was I think she beat the gargoyles.
Okay.
And then right after she got her humanity back, she got invaded like 5 minutes later. And then they killed her. She didn't even know what was happening because of, it's not really a thing anymore. Like you have to opt into that stuff in like Bloodborne and Elden Ring and stuff. So they made PvP more opt-in here. Besides, there's a really cool concept where there's like these witches with summoning bells in the game, and they are trying to summon real life players to come kill you, which is such a cool concept. And FromSoft does this a lot, but it's usually with like boss fights. Like bosses will summon real players to try and kill you, whereas this, it's like hidden witches that are trying to summon people to kill you. But yeah, otherwise, besides those couple moments of the game, PvP is way more optional and opt-in, which is nice for people that are just wanting to play the game and get through the story. But also, I know that people who really love PvP in these games always talk about how frustrating it is in Bloodborne specifically, because like no one is engaging with the PvP.
Yeah, I feel like I didn't really engage with the PvP in this much. My cousin, I think, did. I think he used to do that. If I'm remembering right, can't you like invade somebody and hide yourself? Like you can like make yourself look like the messengers or something.
That sounds right. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think you can kind of troll people that way. I feel like he was doing that for a while. Like he kind of like doing that trolly, PvP stuff. But there's also like I was way more engaged with it in something like Dark Souls 1, where like it would crop up, but also in game it was incentivized. Like there are covenants and stuff that are focused around PvP, and like I always thought that was so cool. Like I always thought that was such a neat kind of angle to get people interested in engaging with that aspect of the game. And so yeah, it was really like Dark Souls and Dark Souls 2, I think, were the games where I engaged with the PvP the most. And then when it came to something like Bloodborne and even Dark Souls 3, which Dark Souls 3, weirdly, like game that I loved when it came out, but I've never really gone back to it or reconsidered it. And when I played it, I don't think I engaged with the PvP really much at all. So these have become kind of more single player experiences, but playing this, like I was more in like, let's do, some co-op, take on some fights together or whatever, that sort of thing, doing chalice dungeons together and stuff like that was where I was more at with this versus PvP.
Yeah, I think getting rid of like the covenant system. Now, granted, they added like one covenant into Bloodborne with like the free update that came out alongside the DLC, but is it really a covenant if there's no other covenants to join?
Right.
Like it's not really the same thing. And yeah, Elden Ring doesn't have covenants or anything. That's something that I missed. I'm not really a big PvP person in any of these games. I think it's a neat concept and I'm glad it's there, but it's not really something I actively want to participate in. The last note I have here about like a big thing they added in Bloodborne compared to Dark Souls is they have the chalice dungeons in here, which I'm not going to get super into it. They're basically like randomized dungeons that let you theoretically play the game infinitely. They're a way to find like better gems to slot into your weapons. There's like exclusive weapon upgrades and stuff in here. I think even the Beast Claw weapon or something is exclusive to the Chalice dungeons. There are bosses that you can only see in the Chalice dungeons, which really sets people off. They don't like that. I think it's a great idea in theory. I didn't like the execution much. I got pretty bored with it like pretty quickly. Everything just feels labyrinthine. I mean, it's meant to feel like kind of like an old school dungeon crawler kind of thing.
Right.
And it's a cool concept, but I wanted to see the cool Yarnum areas and locations. I didn't want to hang out in these like dank sewers and whatever else.
Sure.
But I had to spend a lot of time doing it because I not only got the platinum for myself, 100% solo, by the way, which is one of the craziest things I've ever tried to do in video games. I also did co-op to help my buddy get the platinum. So I spent a lot of time in the Chalice dungeons, and I can definitively say I don't like them very much.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a long time. I platinumed it too. My cousin and I both platinumed it together, and it, it was. We played a bunch of it together in that moment, but I think we were really just having fun because we were playing together. I don't know if it's like a like a praising of Chalice dungeons in general. It's the thing when I think about Bloodborne, I almost like I have them. Oh right, there were Chalice dungeons. Like I really forget that they were even in here.
Mhm.
You know, in a lot of ways. But it's a cool idea. Yeah, it'd be neat for them to like revisit that in some meaningful way.
They kind of do. It's not randomized, but in Elden Ring, like I forget what they're called. Like there are mini dungeons that feel like Bloodborne Chalice dungeons, but they're bespoke. They're not randomized, and so yeah, it turns out it's a lot more fun doing these dungeon crawling things in a Souls-like game when it's actually designed by a person doing them.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, whenever I replay Bloodborne, I usually do like a couple Chalice dungeons just to like get more, because again, that's like the best place to farm for the gems that you can like put passive stats and abilities on your weapons. But
Right.
after the first couple, I'm like, yeah, I'm good. I'm just gonna go get back to the main game now or whatever. Real quick before we go on a break, we mentioned before that the game had DLC that was again called The Old Hunters, that came out in November 2015, so like 9 months later or something like that. Added a bunch of new weapons, equipment, clothing items, bosses, storyline, basically. If you liked my very brief and succinct and nonsense description of the base game, I've got another one for you here. You're in a nightmare prison for hunters that have succumbed to bloodlust, but you eventually find out that I think it was the Healing Church had hunters slaughter an entire fishing hamlet because they were transformed into fish people, and the powers that be want to fiddle with the corpse of a deceased ancient alien god that washed up there. I think, if I remember correctly, that
Yeah.
was the basic plot of the DLC.
I think you crushed it. Yeah.
I'm sure you agree with me, but to me, this is like the best content in Bloodborne, full stop, like in every
Absolutely.
way. Yeah.
Yeah.
We talked about it at the start of the show, like the reveal trailer alone, probably still my favorite video game trailer of all time. Like just the moment that the pizza cutter weapon shows up, like it's a giant mechanical buzzsaw.
Yeah.
And like the player character is like slotting like the iron stick into the buzzsaw and then grabbing it off of his back, and it's like grinding. It is so damn cool.
What's it? Is it called like the whirly gig or something like that?
I think it's called the whirly gig. Yeah,
it rules, man. Like I guess we haven't really talked about this too much, but like one of the big kind of gimmicks of Bloodborne is like the idea that your weapons in this game kind of have like transformations. Like you can almost switch between, you know, different versions of the weapons, which is cool. And yeah, you have something like Simon's Bowblade, which is exactly what it sounds like. Like it's a bow and it's a blade, dude.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Like it's so sick. And you always get like a cool, you know, transformation with it where like there's a quick little animation, like seeing that happen. It's always sick. It's always cool. It's always well considered. And I don't know, like it gives you like a different way of thinking about how you want to engage with, like if there's any sense of like build craft in the game, it probably does come from the weapons, the way they can transform, and the way you work that into your play style.
Right. And yeah, we didn't really talk about it too much. We've referenced it a little bit, but yeah, not only can they I think it's L2 you get to press, and that transforms the trick weapons into their alternate two-handed state. But not all of them are two-handed. Like you have was it called the Tonitrus or something, which is like a little club, but the hitting L2 doesn't transform it beyond adding electricity to it. I think it uses some of your bullets to apply electricity to it. Yeah, with Simon's Bowblade, yeah, it's like two curved swords, I think, by default. But then when you hit L2, it's like your character like attaches them together to form a big old bow. And then, yeah, you can use your bullets to then fire it like a bow. Yeah, the last replay I did of Bloodborne a few years ago, it was my first time using Simon's Bowblade. Like, I got to the DLC early, and I spent like 15 minutes trying to kill Simon. And again, I was there at like level 20 or something, so he was way above my level. But I just had him stuck behind a door, and I was just slowly chipping away at his health to take his Bowblade.
Oh, dude.
So much fun. the weapons in this game are amazing, and yeah, a lot of the weapons, like your combos, like R1 is what you're normally pressing to do your main light attack or whatever. But if you swap into your trick state or what your trick weapon, your two-handed form mid combo, it often does different animations and they come out faster and at different angles or whatever. So yeah, a big part of the game is also learning your combos. Like, yeah, combos aren't that much of a thing in any other Souls game.
Right.
But yeah, here there's like a little bit of like a tiny bit of like a Devil May Cry element there.
Yeah, like it's just such a neat idea, like and it works in a way that feels very like organic. Cause yeah, you do have kind of like combos and like combo chains and like animation chains. One of my favorite weapons in the game is the Kirk hammer. And like, it's so cool. Like it's, normally it's just like this normal kind of like short sword, but you have this giant like hammer on your back, like this big like stone hammer that the handle of which is like a sheath. And then whenever you go to transform it, you basically sheath the sword, and all of a sudden you have this, you've gone from this like very kind of like low damage but quick and low stamina cost like short sword into this massive, like slow, powerful, completely different play style. And like, it's so fun to be able to like swap that on the fly, being able to in mid fight completely change the feel of the combat and like strategize around that is sick. Like, it's so cool and unique.
It feels way more versatile, I guess is the word to use, compared to Dark Souls 1 and 2 before it. Yeah, that's the combat is where I really fell in love with the game, because like I said, I didn't understand anything that was happening in the story until months after the fact when I watched a lore video on it. So yeah, when I really fell in love with this game, it's just the combat. But that said, when I say there's like a little bit of Devil May Cry in it, I mean a little bit. Like, you don't need to be some kind of like memorizing combo, like trees and whatever. It's very, very simple, but it's just enough to add a lot of variety. And again, just like a little bit more, I don't know, like malleability to the combat that isn't there in the other games.
Yeah. I just think it's so cool. Like it's such a neat, like, and you're going to find it, right? Like whenever you play the game, you're going to find that weapon that you really vibe with. You're going to get into that groove. Like you're going to, yeah, cause you're not memorizing combos or anything like that, but you're going to feel it out and you're going to find something that just feels organic and naturalistic to you and your play style. Like that, that's a feeling that I always love in a game like this, is feeling it out and being like, oh, like, yeah, like, okay, like I'm in my zone now. Like I found kind of what works for me, what feels good to me. Like I love that.
I also want to shout out, because we were mentioning how cool like the weapon swapping animations are. The Moonlight Greatsword in this is normally, it's just like, it's like a greatsword, like a normal looking greatsword. There's like a bandage around it. Yeah. Looks super cool already, but to transform it into the actual Moonlight Greatsword, it's like your hunter kind of like flicks it, and then all of a sudden it's a big glowing green sword. One of the coolest looking weapons ever, one of the coolest animations ever. Just so damn cool.
Moonlight Greatsword is so sick, dude. I would love there was a time when I was at my, look, I'm not above something like this. I have a Dragon Quest slime tattooed on my arm. I'm not above video game tattoos. There was a time when I thought about getting a Moonlight Greatsword tattooed on my arm, but having the blade be like glow in the dark ink.
Okay.
Which I thought would be so sick. Like, cause like during, the daytime or whatever, it would just look like a normal tattoo, but then like at night it would glow. The reason I didn't do it is cause that would probably get annoying when you have to, when that's on your body every day. But I was like, oh, that'd be so sick. Like that to do something like that. But I love the Moonlight Greatsword. Like I said earlier, I look forward to it in every, one of these, and I love it in this game too.
I never got it in Dark Souls 2 or 3. I don't think Demon Souls either, but I've had it in Dark Souls 1, obviously Bloodborne, and Elden Ring. I think Elden Ring is my favorite incarnation of it. I really I really, really like it.
I can't wait to get into Elden Ring, dude. I can't wait for that Switch 2 version. Yeah.
I know. Basically every day my wife's like, when are they putting the Switch 2 version of Elden Ring out? Like, I want it right now. I'm ready to put a few 100 hours into that pretty soon. Let's go on a break then. We've got for you on this break just one song. Again, we mentioned it earlier. I didn't want this episode to be too overwhelming musically, so I figured we'll just do single song breaks from here on out. Maybe it's a good variety for the show in general to do that. We are breaking for Lady Maria of the Astral Clock Tower from the Old Hunters DLC, and this was composed by Yuka Kitamura, and we'll be right back. Lady Maria of the Astral Clock Tower from Bloodborne, the Old Hunters. I think making notes for this song for this episode is the first time I've ever listened to the song outside of the game itself. Because I either never noticed the bells at the start, or I thought that they were just sound effects coming from the actual clock tower that you're fighting in and not part of the song. But wow, like what a cool use of, I mean, I guess it is kind of combining like diegetic, like the location you're in into the music or whatever. But yeah, what a cool, just constant throughout the song. It's really, really cool. Feels so ominous and foreboding, like time is running out, but not just for you, the player, but also for like Maria's guilt and grief over the things she did, like surging through. It's like demonic wedding bells or something.
Bells are a very interesting instrument, right? Because bells can represent a bunch of different things. It can represent time, like you said, like time running out, like because clock towers and in the old days, like that was how time was signaled by people ringing the bell. So it denotes that. It also evokes like that kind of religious feeling, that church, kind of feeling. I think it also evokes a very regal feeling. I think that it kind of like, I don't know, there's something about not only like the fight itself, but like the song and Maria as a character, like there's an elegance to it. Like there's the way that the strings kind of swell, and hearing like those bell chimes and stuff, like I don't know, there is something, I don't know, just elegant is the word that I keep coming to. It does feel like that. And then having like choir come in as the song builds, it just goes crazy.
Yeah, like when the second phase of the fight starts up and the music is changing pace and whatnot, it feels so frantic in a way that like most Bloodborne stuff does not. Like it, to me, it literally is like a panic attack, like a rising panic attack.
Yeah.
And it's funny that you mentioned like that the Ludwig fight feels and looks like a dance to you, because I saw so many YouTube comments for the Maria fight saying that it's like this elegant dance between the two of you, which is funny because to me it never felt like an elegant dance. It felt like this lady is tossing flaming blood at me and I'm just spamming the dodge roll button over and over.
Yeah, we shouldn't gloss over what you just said. At a certain point, she starts, at first it's like a normal kind of fight or whatever, and fast-paced, fun, you're dodging. I think that's what people mean when they say it feels like a dance, like oh, basically I'm just dodging a lot and so it feels like a dance. It's not like how with Ludwig, like you're like, again, just it's the way he moves, man. It's his animation, like it's that lunge that he has, like that's what makes it feel like a dance to me. Like I feel like I'm just doing this back and forth with him, whereas with this I'm just trying to survive, dude. And like, yeah, to not gloss over what you just said, at a certain point, she starts attacking you at a range with strings of blood. And then you're like, what the hell is going on right now? And then at a certain point, that blood catches on fire. And it's like, and it's cool because like the song escalates too. Like the song kind of just gets crazier and crazier and builds and builds. When you think it's done escalating, it escalates again. One thing that was cool too, that I noticed listening to this, and I was in this headspace because we were listening to the Hunter's Dream music earlier and stuff like this, and I mentioned that the doll being represented by this like kind of soft female vocal, you can hear that towards the end of this song too, which makes sense because I think in the lore, Gehrman based the doll on Maria when he made the doll. And so there's this cool like synergistic nature to that I love. It's cool. Like what a great, cool character, a great fight. And yeah, the song rules.
Yeah, I think in the lore, again, it's been a while since I've done like a full Bloodborne lore examination. This is all like memories from like the past 8 years, basically.
We should say that too. Like if there are any like hardcore Bloodborne nerds, listen, if we misspeak about something, like it's fine. We're both just operating off of memory. Chill out.
But yeah, no, Maria is definitely based off of, or the doll is definitely based off of Maria. Also, I think Maria is either half vile blood or full like vile blood like royalty, and that's why she can attack with blood and stuff. Which is it's cool because like I feel like vile bloods are barely talked about in the game. Like that's a fully optional side area with all that stuff, and yeah, I think this is my favorite fight in the game. Like, yeah, not my favorite song necessarily, but yeah, favorite boss fight in Bloodborne and one of my favorite fights in Souls games in general. Yeah, I think that's it. She's very up there for me. The only other note on the actual song I had that you didn't touch on was I love that they closed the song out with like sudden final bell chimes at the end. Like,
yeah.
Again, to like bookend the whole thing and end with the bells again. Yeah, I really like this song a lot. I can't believe that I never listened to it outside of the game before. I never really fully appreciated it until making notes this morning.
Yeah, I don't think I had either. Very cool, like to hear on its own. Yeah, what a cool character. And it's also like a funny thing because I remember like seeing the key art for the Old Hunters DLC, and like you don't realize until you get there that she is the key art, like her sitting there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like that, like that's what the key in many ways, like even though I think Ludwig is like kind of the you know kind of the big like boss that everybody remembers from the DLC for good reason. It's amazing. Like Lady Maria kind of is, and she's not even really like the ultimate boss of the DLC, but she kind of feels like it. Like like she kind of feels like the crescendo of this DLC. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. It feels like it's all downhill after that. I mean, also like everything gets even more sad after her, like the secret that she's guarding. I mean, it's a pretty sad story in the DLC in general, and all the people with like the big like fleshy patches for heads and stuff in the ward leading up to Lady Maria. But yeah, everything gets a lot more sad afterwards when you get to the fishing hamlet. it's a pretty bad time in Bloodborne all around, but especially in the DLC. But speaking of all that, speaking of like lowering game stuff that we haven't talked about, what do you want to talk about that we haven't touched on yet? We can talk about whatever you want.
Oh man, I don't even know where to start with this. I mean, like I do want to talk about Gehrman. I don't know where do you think this would be the best place?
Maybe we should save that till we're going into the next break, since we are playing his theme. Yeah.
Okay. So we can save that then. Yeah, I don't know. I'll go wherever you want to go. There's a lot that I would love to talk about.
I'll start off with like a softball. I think when I think of favorite areas in the game, like obviously, yeah, I think of Castle Canehurst. We'll talk about that and stuff.
Yeah.
I think about like the Nightmare of Mensis and all that. But the first area that I really, really loved in Bloodborne was the forest. I don't even remember what the actual name of it is at this point.
Is it just Forbidden Woods?
Maybe it's Forbidden Woods or something like that. Again, you have to like get through the first third of the game to get the password to get through here. Also, like the person that's like holding the door closed that won't let you until you have the password, turns out it's just a skeleton that's just sitting there, which is a good bit. It's a good genuinely humorous moment when you see that. The forest in this game, even though it's not super huge, like it's layered. Like I think there's like a good 3 layers to it. Like it's very much an in-between area between the first chunk of the game and Bergenworth, which is kind of your introduction to the next chunk of the game. Nothing super important happens like story-wise here until you get to actual Bergenworth, but it was the first time in a video game where I was playing in a forest area where I actually felt like I was not just in a forest but also lost. Like it feels so easy to get lost in this forest, despite the fact that it's like, again, relatively straightforward, but with like how hilly it is, you can actually like drop down and then all of a sudden not know how you get back up and whatever.
Yeah.
There's all these like clusters of snakes that are spitting acid at you, and like Resident Evil 4 style dudes whose head erupt into snakes, and all of a sudden they're much harder to kill. Again, this is where you find the first like celestial emissary enemies in the game.
Yes.
The forest area was like the first real big standout location to me in the game.
Yeah, I think it definitely is like one of the more like scary, intimidating, that feeling of being lost. Yeah. And then especially having that, like you said, kind of be the like kind of right before like the real turning point, you know, of like cuz yeah, Bergenworth I think is maybe the most memorable location in the whole game for me. For that reason, you know, like having that kind of be like a bridge to that, and kind of like you almost have to get through, you almost have to survive this before you can even get there. And it kind of makes sense too to almost have it be like this obfuscation, like this almost hidden thing that you have to like make your way through, you know. Very cool. Yeah, I definitely remember that feeling. And I even think still, like, I haven't replayed Bloodborne in a long time, I'd probably still get lost in that thing.
Yeah. Yeah, the first time, or not the last time I played the game a few years ago, yeah, I did genuinely get lost. Yeah, like I made a wrong turn somewhere and then I ended up at the aliens. That's how I knew. I'm like, oh, I need to get out of here. I don't want to be at the aliens. We should talk about Bergenworth then, since that is like the next area, and also
it's
like
sick.
we keep referencing it. Yeah, like you hear Bergenworth multiple times throughout, but like it's hyped up as like this like the school, this like academia setting where they're like studying, I guess, the old blood, or like they're studying like what's going on with like the effects of like blood and whatever. And yeah, the big schism and like where all the conflict in Bloodborne comes from is it Wilhelm? Is that his name, or Wilhelm?
Willem, I think.
He's saying to Lawrence like, hey man, don't drink that blood. Like no matter what you do, please God, don't, that's bad. And then Lawrence like, yeah, I know, we won't drink the blood. But then of course they consume the Ancient One blood or whatever. And yeah, when you get to Bergenworth, it's like empty and overrun. Again, there's like these weird snake-headed dudes hanging out. There's also big like fly-ish enemies, or like weird
mosquitoes,
fly grasshopper mosquito combinations. And like Willem is wheelchair bound and can't talk when you find him finally. And you when you're there, it's nighttime, there's a full moon, it's right next to this lake. And yeah, you get to Willem and you try talking to him, and he just like wordlessly he might grumble or something, I don't remember, but he's just like wordlessly pointing his staff towards the lake or whatever. And there's nowhere else for you to go at that point. Like you might go back in the school and you're like, okay, there must be something else here. No, there's not. You just need to jump into that damn lake, and it's terrifying when you do it. Even before you actually do it, the thought scares me. Again, I'm scared of like big bodies of water. I don't like big bodies of water in video games in particular. And it's night, and Bloodborne is just horrifying with all these creatures and whatnot.
I have goosebumps just like hearing you describe that. I'm remembering like that feeling, because it is a feeling of like terror. Like that silent kind of solemn you know point of like, oh, like what are you asking me to do right now? And it's just this like moonlit lake that you have to jump into sight unseen. And when you, like when you actually do it, like and you know you get into the Rom fight, like that's when things kind of like you're like, oh my god, like it's crazy like how much is going on here, you know, and having like this you know fight on this pale moonlit lake against a gigantic spider covered in like a million eyes, you know, crazy. Like it, like I just, I remember, I remember that feeling very well.
This really was like the first page being turned of like what the rest of Bloodborne actually is. And like Rom is this grotesque, like they call it a spider. They call it Rom the Vacuous Spider, I think is its full title, which is a sick title too, by the way.
Like Vacuous Rom.
Yeah.
Mikolash's voice line, we got to talk about him soon. I remember like all of his voice lines, I feel like.
Mikolash is definitely the most memorable like speaking role in the game for sure. Like Rom is this big, again, they call it a spider, but it's for want of a better term, because it's like not. It's like a giant husk with a billion eyes that can like move around.
It's like what your pathetic human language tries to rationalize it as.
Right, exactly. And the idea that they keep coming to, like the Bergenworth and like the other powers that be, like the healing church, they keep coming to the idea of like eyes are what grant intelligence. Like these beings all have more eyes than we do, so that's how we can evolve to become old ones, is grant us eyes, kind of thing.
Yes.
But it turns out, I think that basically is true. Like in the Bloodborne universe, that is actually the case. Like you can be a great one if you have a bunch of eyes, basically. But it's just funny how they go about doing it.
And like another we talked about like the terror of that moment, the fact that Rom doesn't attack you, like at like you have to initiate that fight, and like something about that is terrifying too. Like she's not even considering you. like
you see this like big lump in the distance. Like again, you jump into this dark moonlit lake, and then once you go through the water, all of a sudden everything is white. And then you land eventually, but also the ground doesn't look like ground. It looks kind of like you're standing on water, kinda. But then it's everything is white. But then in the distance, there's just this crawling lump that looks awful, and you're like, oh, I have to go fight this thing. And not only do you have to go fight this thing, like Seth said, you have to go initiate the fight. Like you have to go whack that thing in the head with your saw cleaver or whatever, and it sucks. Also, the fight is pretty annoying, if I'm being honest.
It is an annoying fight for sure. Yeah, man. Yeah, the eye thing is funny because there's I think Willem is the one that was kind of like he was carving the Carol rune eyes like into his brain and stuff like that, or like that was like the stuff he was doing. It's very interesting, like and that is very Lovecraftian too, right? Like this notion of like these, old gods and having to like uncover like hidden knowledge and trying to reach like a higher plane of understanding of the world around you and what insignificance your place in it is and stuff like that. And
the answer is just eyes. And like I said, it's funny that I think that actually is the answer in this universe. Like it sounds like you're dealing with a cult at first, but they do create a great one. Like in the Nightmare of Mensis, they literally have the most horrifying thing I've ever seen in a video game, which is this giant brain with a huge eye. I think it's a bunch of eyes, but mostly you're seeing the one eye. And when it sees you as you're approaching it, like throughout the level, if it can see you from its like cage that's like hanging in the sky, like it causes madness by looking at you. Like it literally is driving you insane just by its mere existence. And again, it's just like a giant brain with eyes. But it is creepy. And then you can find like a hidden lever and open the cage, and then the giant brain like falls down, it breaks through the floor, and then you can find it and go into this dark pit, and it's pitch black down there. You can't even see where the brain is until like you just stumble around in the dark, and all of a sudden you see this giant eye in front of you. I was playing that section of the game for the first time at like 3 a.m. My heart skipped multiple beats. I was like, I hate this. And then you can do, in other Souls games, you can do this too. Like certain actions are initiated by doing gestures at NPCs or in certain spots. And if you do like the make contact gesture, I think it eventually gives you something. I don't remember. Maybe it's an umbilical cord or something. I don't remember exactly what it gives you. But like, yeah, the implication is it is literally like it is a manufactured like ancient space god basically,
Right.
and it is successfully able to do something and have some kind of knowledge even though it's just a big brain with a bunch of eyes, and that's just icky.
Yeah, well, and we mentioned earlier the notion of insight, which is such a cool mechanic that also kind of like furthers this point, like this notion that like things are being uncovered, and like
Mhm.
there's like revelations and like layers of the world that you uncover the higher your insight level is, but everything becomes more dangerous the more insight you have. Like, not only do the enemies become more difficult, but like you can get frenzied way easier, which makes perfect sense that like you should be, you know, the more you see the world for what it really is, the more likely you are to become insane. You know,
Like,
which makes perfect sense.
how cool is it that they gamified the concept of going insane? Like they
It's so
actually
neat.
they quantified it, and it actually works amazingly well. And like, yeah, like you said, they built entire mechanics around the idea of how much insight do you have. Like, there is benefit, like you can spend your insight at certain shops and get like useful items. So like you don't want to just get rid of all your insight, but also at the same time, you don't want to walk around carrying 99 insight. Again, I think also, I could be wrong about this. It's been a very long time, but I think how much insight you have also might affect like maybe damage done by arcane. I'm not or things that scale with arcane. I'm not
That
100%
sounds
sure.
right.
Yeah, and like, yeah, but the whole game has like just subtle little things like that. And again, it doesn't explain this, or if it does, it's in some like abstract, obscure like item description or something. But I don't think even then it really ever explains the fact that like, hey, you frenzy easier from those damn singing awful abomination things if you have more insight. And that it's also very useful to know that, because I hate those singing like what are they called,
Yeah.
like lantern flies or something. I hate them.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just like it's cool because there's just like these little layers, and some of them are grandiose, like you mentioned like amygdala like being seen like on the chat, like horrifying, like horrifying to see that and know that was just there, you just couldn't see it before. But like also little things like being able to hear the sound of a crying baby, you know, and like hearing that stuff and kind of getting like a little bit of a notion as to like what's going on, and like what everything means around you. And you know, you mentioned the umbilical cord and stuff like that, and the way that ties into like the kind of like one of the endings of the game anyways. And the way that you have to kind of like uncover that stuff. I don't know, that like that's so cool. And it's, people talk about a game like Eternal Darkness, for example, which is another very Lovecraftian, you know, inspired game. And I like Eternal Darkness, but you know, the way that game illustrates this notion of like Lovecraftian insanity is because, oh, we'll do cool like fourth wall breaky stuff, you know, like like we'll do like a Psychomantis-esque thing all the time, and that's how it gets crazy. It's like in this game you are like punished and rewarded for the gaining of your knowledge, like the insight consumable being, you know, like madman's knowledge. You know, it's like, do you really want to know? You know, so cool.
Right. And that also ties into one of the other endings of the game where you just wake up and it's like nothing happened, like nothing
Right.
did really happen. But like, yeah, the implication is kind of that that's almost the best ending for you, even though that's like the easiest ending to get. You don't even fight the last two bosses or anything. You just wake up and you're free to go.
It's the Matrix. Like
Right.
you know, you took the what is it, the blue pill or whatever, like you'll wake up, you'll be back in it, and everything will be fine. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I even love the way they handled those endings, but yeah, I guess we'll save that for the Gehrman talk in a little
Yeah.
bit. I guess the main thing we haven't talked about that's written down here is Castle Canehurst, which is a fully optional area.
Yeah.
And it's basically 3D Castlevania. Like, it's straight up.
So, yeah, that's why I wanted to bring this up. I actually don't think it's that great of a dungeon. For what it is, like getting through it is kind of annoying, and I don't even think like the rewards are that cool, but it's such a cool, like, getting there for the first time. That was when I was like, oh shit, like we are fully Castlevania now. Like we have just like given up all subtlety. This just is 3D Castlevania now.
Yeah, like even like one of the main enemies here that's unique to this area are like the ladies that are like screaming or whatever. Like,
yeah,
are their heads detached or something too? I don't remember. That feels directly out of a Castlevania to me. Yeah, I agree with you. Like the area itself from a design perspective is not, it's whatever. It's not that cool, but the fact that like it's hidden, you have to like do multiple weird things to get here, like find the invitation and then go to the right spot to be picked up by like the carriage or whatever and taken here. Super cool.
Yeah, and then don't the horses like they like die like getting there or something like that? Like,
I don't remember, but I remember there is something weird with the horses. I think you're right. But yeah, it literally, it's just the vibes. It is a vibes based pleasure for me in this case, because yeah, this is the 3D Castlevania game I've always wanted. This is what instilled in me, like, my two dream games are a Kirby RPG and a new Castlevania game developed by FromSoft, because it just feels like, again, all their games have a Castlevania aspect to them, where, again, we talked about it in the previous episode, but your spacing compared to your enemies is so important in Dark Souls and in Castlevania. And there's also like whips. Not that many games, especially 3D games, even have whips. Like, they just nail it. And I'm still mad to this day that we don't have a 3D Castlevania that is either developed by FromSoft or inspired by Souls stuff, because I think it would be perfect. I also think it'd be really cool to, not to go off on too much of a tangent, but yeah, structure it like Castlevania 3, where most of the game is spent getting to the castle, then the whole last like third of the game is just inside this huge expansive castle. It would be so damn cool. Please, God, that's the one of my last wishes on this earth, is to see a FromSoft Castlevania game. I think at this point they're like too popular and they're too in demand for that to happen. But yeah, those were kind of like the main things I really wanted to touch on. I don't know, like, are there any other like areas that we didn't talk about, or bosses that we didn't talk about besides Gehrman?
We should talk about Mikolash.
I
think. Yeah, I think we should at least talk about Mikolash, who, yeah, I think is the, I mean, he's funny, right? Like, just the vocal delivery of that character is so good, and I still like, I can just hear all of his lines in my head still. Like, and my like my cousin and I used to like make fun of it, you know, all the time, and just like the way he, you know, Cos, or some say Cosm, do you hear our prayer? Like the way he kind of just like says it, like, and just kind of like lets those words fall out of his mouth, and then you have to like, it's so annoying, so you have to like chase him like through the whole thing. He's like howling at you and stuff. Like, it rules.
I love how he is kind of, I don't know, he's presented as like an academic. I suppose that is what he is to a certain degree. Like, he's wearing that cage on his head and whatever. I forget exactly what that signifies, but like, yeah, he's speaking very properly to you and very kind of uppity to you, like almost like upper class, like I know more than you kind of thing. But then when you beat him, he's like, oh no, now I'm waking up, I'll forget everything. Like, I love that, like, that veneer disappears and he's just like, I don't know, like a little shit, I guess.
Yeah, well, he's the one that was heading up like the experiments in Yahar Ghul and stuff like that, and like he's living on like in this nightmare because he's trying to make contact with with a great one or whatever, and he wants he wants that that knowledge, and I don't know, like it's very cool, like it's cool to be like fighting and chasing down this boss like inside of a nightmare that desperately doesn't want you to like remove him from what he sees as his like glorious purpose or whatever. Pretty cool and funny, like it, again, just the delivery of a lot of them is, a hunter is a hunter even in a dream. Like I'll never forget those lines.
That's something that we haven't touched on that I love about FromSoft games, and that I never really hear get talked about, at least by most people. They're funny. They have like a real good sense of humor to them, really good comedic timing. Even I don't know, like just the scenarios they put you in and like some enemy types. I remember because I was waiting for my PS4 to get there. I couldn't start Bloodborne till like the following Monday after it came out because I was waiting for my PS4 to get there in the mail. And I saw a video on Twitter at the time, and it was someone, I don't remember exactly where, but they were approaching this like vista. It's early on in the game, I think right after you beat Gascoigne, and there's like this destroyed vista. I think it's where you find the binoculars that are sitting on the like on an NPC or whatever, and the person's like slowly approaching because he's thinking this is like a cool looking cinematic spot, and then out of nowhere a giant troll just punches him from the right and punches him off the map. And that was like, that's so funny. And I also think about very very early on in the game, there's a character in a wheelchair that you might think he's dead or something, like he's not active, but when you pick up an item, all of a sudden you hear like the whirring of like a Gatling gun as he starts shooting at you. Like the games are genuinely funny. Like Elden Ring has a lot of funny moments, and like you said with Mikolash, even the dialogue, even like just NPC barks in this game are very funny but also terrifying. The one that always sticks out to me was the one very early in the game, just a normal dude that's like, "I'll mess up your brain." Like I hate the phrase "I'll mess up your brain." That's it's real rugged and rough, and I hate it. But yeah, it's so memorable and funny.
There's a recurring character. One thing that's always fun about these games is like I like seeing, things kind of like come back. Like we mentioned the Moonlight Greatswords and all of these. There's also a character called Patches that is usually in most of these, and like Patches is just kind of a little shit, and like it's just like it's always fun to like to pick these little things up, and like I don't know, like it's very like it's aware of what it is, and I like that it has those like moments of like kind of levity. Like it's aware of how ridiculous some of these scenarios are, and it and you can tell that through play testing or whatever, they have designed these characters and these moments to make those for you. And I'm glad that they're in there, because if the game didn't have those funny moments, like if it was just all nonstop, like pedal to the metal dread all the time, and you had nothing to kind of laugh at, like it would be kind of exhausting.
Yeah. It would be like The Order 1886, which I think is not
Right.
a horrible game by any stretch, but is so self-serious and has like no moments of any kind of humor about itself. I that's a big underrated aspect of like all the Soulsborne, all the FromSoft developed Soulsborne games for me, is that they genuinely have a sense of humor about themselves. Even in Elden Ring, one of my favorite enemy types or enemies in the game is just a giant like ball. It's just like a giant steel ball, and it has no face. It is literally just a giant ball, but like it'll turn and like about face at you when it sees you, and then stop for a second, and then just slam on the accelerator and just hit you. Like the fact that it is programmed to have like a face, even though it doesn't actually have a physical face, but the actual character model has its own face that it looks at you with, even though it's a ball. I think that is so funny. And I really wanted to shout that out in general, because I think when if someone is hearing this podcast, and again, if they're interested in the game now, they might be like, oh, this all sounds really heavy. And it is. The themes are very dark and heavy and existential, but you do get these moments of levity and very, quotable, whatever. Hey, Bloodborne's great if you didn't realize by now.
Yeah, no, it's sick. And and Patches in this game is just like a giant dumb human spider. So
I hate Patches in this game.
Yeah.
Because again, this was my first like real sit down Soulsborne game. I didn't know who the hell Patches was. I'm like, why does this spider just have a human head attached to it? Patches is a fan favorite and for good reason. Do we want to go then on our last break and talk about Gehrman after the song, or should we talk about him going into the song?
Let's talk about it after the song.
Okay.
I do feel like Gehrman is like the sort of note we should end on.
Yeah, he's kind of the linchpin of the whole base game story and whatnot. Yeah, I think you're right. Let's go on our break then. We've got Gehrman, the First Hunter, composed by Tsukasa Saito from Bloodborne, and we'll be back. And again, that was Gehrman, the First Hunter. So, I know I said Ludwig is the best boss fight song in a FromSoft game. And again, I do think from a bombastic perspective that is true. But like this song is transcendent to me.
Yeah.
I get genuinely emotional just listening to it. Even like this morning when I was doing the notes, even just
It
like,
made me cry.
yeah,
Yep.
I genuinely
Yep.
got teary eyed this morning. I was like, damn, I haven't listened to this in a while. Yeah, like when those strings are really starting to hit around 45 seconds in, the hair on the back of my neck was full on standing up. It was like I had spider sense going off or something. Like my Gehrman sense was tingling.
He's such a great character and such a tragic character. I don't know how much I want to like get into this before talking about the song itself, because I think the song like illustrates his character so well.
Mhm.
Like I mentioned before that like I feel like in the Hunter's Dream song we listened to earlier, that the cello kind of represents Gehrman, and that is back here, but it's kind of like in this boss song fighting for purchase like over the violin and the rest of the strings, which to me almost represent you, the player, and the backing of like everything you've done, everything you've been through and learned, and finally having to bear down at Gehrman himself, who, you know, doesn't want to fight you, but will, because he has accepted this burden.
Mhm,
And like killing you is preferable to letting you accept the burden that he has, you know. And like he's so like it's so sad. Like there are moments in the game where you can hear him like break
Dude,
and like cry,
like whimpering in
Oh.
his sleep. Like
Dude.
the first time that was happening, I'm like, what's going on? Because again, I didn't understand any of the lore the first playthrough, and I'm like, oh, this seems real sad, but I don't know what's going on.
He's like, Master Willem, somebody help me. It's like, dude, it's like, I have like goosebumps thinking about it. Like the
Mhm.
way he's kind of like, oh, it's awful. And then like, I'm getting emotional just talking about it. Like when you come into the end of the song and it's like in the last phases of the fight and the choir is kind of coming in and matching the melody of the strings. Oh my God. I'm like, I'm getting like emotional. The choir coming in to match the melody of the strings, which like I said, to me represents you, the player. Like, it's almost like you're welcoming Gehrman like into his rest. Like you're like he's earned this peace, you know? And so even though it's this like this fight and it's like this big climactic, like the scenery is beautiful of the fight and it's like this big moment, but like there's a level of like, you know, like you can be freed of this now, you know. And I don't know, like it's just to me it's like the most emotional fight in any of these. And there are other ones certainly, and there are a lot of tragic characters, and you know, a lot of people point to Gwen and stuff, and you know, that's all cool, but Gehrman is like that's the one for me, at least for now. Like I said, I haven't really played Elden Ring, so
Gwyn is cool. We're not going to spoil Dark Souls here too much, I guess, but like Gwyn to me is cooler from like a gameplay perspective, but not a story perspective. I like that Gwyn isn't that hard to kill. Like he's way easier than a lot of late game Dark Souls bosses, because like the implication is that he is old and decrepit and trying to light the fire again or whatever.
right.
Whereas Gehrman just he's gonna mess you up. Like Gehrman
Yeah.
gets out of his wheelchair. You didn't even know he could do that. And then he's like, all right, tonight Gehrman joins the hunt, I guess. And then he just
Yeah.
comes at you with a scythe. I also want to say, before we talk more about like the story, but like from a music perspective, with how sharp some of the string noises and string
Yeah.
sounds in the song are, it brings to mind like a scythe. It's almost like the plucking is so
Yeah.
ferocious. It feels like strings are almost being cut, and that really makes me think of Gehrman with his scythe and stuff. Like that is really cool to me, and a connection I didn't make until making notes for the song. But Yeah, it's worth noting. We have a YouTube comment that kind of sums it up even better than I probably could. But yeah, the reason we're saying Gehrman is tragic is because when these beasts first started appearing, when people started consuming this ancient alien god blood and turning into beasts, they hired Gehrman to make like trick weapons and train hunters to go like discreetly take care of beasts. But at some point, the beast problem got so big that the healing church had to um, like send in bigger forces to take care of the beast. It wasn't a secret anymore, and so Gehrman didn't have like a purpose anymore, and Lawrence wasn't around anymore, and so in his like despair and like for the loved ones of his that were no longer there and his lack of purpose, he tried making contact with one of the old gods, and he did this moon presence, which is like the actual final boss if you go down that ending route.
Right.
And this moon presence like traps Gehrman in this dream and is like, all right, you're gonna do my bidding. Like you're kind of like the in-between guy between me and other hunters, and like I'm granting you kind of like a sort of immortality. Like when you die while you're quote unquote dreaming, you don't die and you keep coming back or whatever. And like characters reference that too, like, oh, I'm no longer in the dream, like I won't come back. I forget who says that, but so like Gehrman is he realizes at some point like, oh, I messed up. I shouldn't be talking to the moon presence, which yeah, the moon presence, I wouldn't want to be hanging out with that thing either. It looks terrifying. Just don't try and contact ancient beings. I think that's just should be your first go-to in this universe, as a steadfast rule. But so Gehrman is like this in between the moon presence and all other hunters, and yeah, he's kind of protecting everyone and yeah, taking on that burden as you say himself. And then if you're going for like I don't know if it's a canonical ending, but the most complicated ending where you fight Gehrman and the moon presence, like yeah, you kind of evolve into a newborn ancient being or whatever. But if you go for the in between ending where you kill Gehrman, but the moon presence like kind of devours you or whatever it does, I don't know exactly. Then like the next scene is the doll pushing you in a wheelchair, like you have become the Gehrman stand-in or whatever. So yeah, Gehrman is trying to protect you. That's why when we're saying he's a tragic character, that's why, because he is again kind of like the in between like humanity and this awful moon presence or whatever.
Right. And you also get the sense that like, you know, this has probably happened countless times before.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like this has probably happened with a bunch of different, you know, hunters or whatever, of like, okay, like the you know, time for Gehrman to join the hunt, and it's, you know, time to do this again, and like this is like what is required of me, and if you go that, you know, that step of like of granting him that, it's just like a, I don't know, like a selfless act in exchange for a selfless act, you know, like to me, that is like the, you know, the best ending of the game. And even though it's not as morally black or white as that, like allowing him that rest, you know, and that like he might even say something about like Lawrence, like I'm coming to join you or something like that. Like there's like this feeling of like he, you know, can finally kind of have that, you know. And I think he even says something like like the, you know, the dream was so long or something like that, you know. And I don't know, like there's something about that just gets me. And you know, like the idea of going for that, like kind of, I don't know if they consider it a true ending or whatever it is, but like fighting moon presence, cool fight and everything, and a cool design and stuff like that, and like being transformed into this like, yeah, like a baby great one or whatever. I guess the implication is that like you are now the new like moon presence, or you'll become the new moon presence, or some sort of like evolved great one in yourself, you know.
Right.
And
once you're not like a baby alien slug anymore. Yeah.
yeah, and so it's like that's the implication there. So like you look at those kind of three endings, and like what's the best one objectively? Is it returning? You know, is it waking up and going back to the Matrix, you know, basically? Or is it, you know, or is it taking the place of this guy who has accepted this duty and kind of finally letting him rest, you know? And like they all kind of suck in their own way, but I don't know. Like I admire the game's sort of like doggedness to do that, because I don't think that endings always have to be clean or satisfying. They should have, you know, they should operate in this area of moral gray and tragedy. And to me, it just gives the ending, this moment, Gehrman as a character, I think it just gives everything so much depth that you don't normally find in games in general, but definitely not even in like Souls games to that extent. And it's the kind of thing that you do have to like dig. You do have to like extrapolate that for yourself. You know, the game is not putting it out there on Front Street, but it's there if you want to find it, you know, and I love it.
All I can say is, yeah, when Elden Ring comes out on Switch 2, we have to do like a lore exploration podcast for the whole game, like a mini
I would
series.
love to.
I'm jotting it down, like I'm scheduling it whenever we get a release date for that. I would be so excited because there, like, imagine as all the cool lore here, but like there's so much more of it because of how much bigger Elden Ring is as a video game.
Yeah.
Elden Ring lore is very, very good. I'm very excited for that to come to Switch 2. Do you have any other notes that you wanted to shout out about Gehrman, the First Hunter?
Just great stuff. And it got my ass, man. Like listening to that, making these notes, I cried. Yeah, the real ones cry at Gehrman.
I didn't know if it was just me because I was operating on like 3 hours of sleep when I was making my notes. I'm still operating on 3 hours of sleep actually, but when it was making me cry, I'm like, I don't know, I'm just like delusional right now, or if this is actually just that good. So I'm glad to know it's actually just that good still. Yeah, what a game, what a soundtrack. I hope you all enjoyed this again, very different bit harmony, but it makes sense for Halloween to do something like this. And we'll have to look into, I don't know, covering more games with more score soundtracks and stuff. But for now, we have the YouTube comment oversharing corner to get into. As a reminder, this is the section of the show where we read off any funny or memorable or interesting or downright insane comments we stumbled across while grabbing songs for this episode. For this first one here, we've got YouTube user DemSpooks8732 commented on Father Gascoigne the Hunter 7 years ago. It's all fun and games until where Gascoigne smashes the tombstones you were hiding behind. And yeah, we talked about it, but I thought that was a good summation of that fight of, I think a lot of people really turtle up behind those tombstones, especially again, if they have the axe. Nope, you can't do it anymore. He will just hop over and destroy the tombstones or just land on top of you.
Like everybody does that when they first encounter that character, and yeah, so it's true. It is all fun and games until those tombstones get smashed. Okay, we got a comment here. YouTube user Macintosh3008 commented on Ludwig the Accursed and Holy Blade 6 months ago. Pretty recent.
Yeah.
Bloodborne is an incredible masterpiece about the cosmic horror and existential dread of spending one night in the UK.
So this made me laugh extremely hard. This is like my favorite YouTube comment we've had in a long time. It made me think, you just linked that video recently of the like British food, like that dude.
Oh yeah.
Like playing up the British food, like the no need to put it in the icebox. We like our beef a little warm.
We like our beef a little warm.
Okay, had you ever heard of Bovril before that video?
No, no, I hadn't. But it's just like, it's so funny because I feel like that's like a maybe a stereotype for the UK or whatever. But like, yeah, man, that stuff's gross,
dude. I thought when you sent that video and I watched it the first time, I thought it was like a bit. I thought he was pouring motor oil on wheat bread and just calling it like a made up word. I was like, what? What?
Bovril on wheat.
But then when I Google Bovril or whatever it's called, I'm like, wait, what? It's like meat, like gelatin or something.
It's like a meat and yeast extract or something like that. It's like, what the hell are y'all eating over there, dude?
But yeah, it really looks like Bloodborne. In Bloodborne, everything is just slathered in Bovril. It's kind of, it's just like a black, inky, awful substance. This comment made me laugh very hard, especially again given the timing of you sending that video.
Can't forget the navy beans for a perfect sandwich.
As it's just slopping down onto the floor.
I like the flavor of it.
Okay.
He's like...
I'll also say, I know we have multiple listeners from the UK. Jason in particular, I always remembered he always seemed very fascinated by Denny's. Remember, like, I know he brought up when him and his family went to America, they went to a Denny's. And I was always like, huh. Like, why? Because as an American that grew up with Denny's, I'm like, no one wants to go to a Denny's.
Because otherwise they're just eating rat paste over there.
In Bovril.
Yeah, it's like people, like they're talking about like Marmite and stuff like that in Australia. I'm like, dude, like, what the hell are y'all eating? What are you putting in your body? And that's saying something, because like Americans are poisoning themselves every day.
Just in a different way, yeah.
But it's in a different way, for sure, yeah.
A slightly more appealing looking way.
I want to make it very clear. We have a bunch of, friends and listeners that are from the UK. Love y'all.
Yeah, no,
great people. But
if anything, I'm partially making fun of myself with all this, but I was always just fascinated about. Hey, I also followed or I used to on Twitter back when I used Twitter, that Footy Scran account where they show like British food at like football stadiums.
Yeah, and it's like, have you seen like the have you seen the recent? This is a tangent, but have you seen there's like a recent trend of like, oh, the jacket potato, and it's like these people who they run like a food stand where it's just these massive baked potatoes, which in the UK they call jacket potato, I guess. And they just put the most disgusting shit in these jacket potato. They put like tuna and like beans and like chili and cheese and like curry sauce. I'm like, what are y'all doing over like? How do y'all live like this? And people love it. And like, like you see like it's usually from the POV of the person like working at the food stand, and like you just look out and it's like the most just it looks so stereotypically British, just gray and like rainy and like it's the best.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting to go on that big of a tangent, but hey, that's what the YouTube comment section is for. I'm sorry if saying the word Bovril is offensive to anyone.
Yeah, we love y'all. Don't worry. Okay, YouTube user Mike and Tonsky. Oh wait, no, is this yours? Did I step on your toes there?
It's fine.
Okay. Mike and Tonsky commented on Ludwig the Accursed and Holy Blade 4 years ago. Everybody gangsta till the horse starts talking to a glow stick.
Also, I always note, because I think it's funny that's an edited comment. I just love the idea that he came back to it later. As again,
what did you edit it?
We need to touch this up a little bit.
Yeah, we just gotta punch that one up.
I found a lot of Ludwig comments. This is the third one in a row. Last one, I promise. YouTube user It's Pronounced Shauna commented on Ludwig the Accursed and Holy Blade 5 years ago. I adore the subtle touch that in his second form he no longer counts as a beast. and weapons that do extra damage to beasts don't affect him in the same way, which that is a really cool detail.
That is a cool touch.
That I didn't know, because he becomes, like, his humanity comes back to him a bit in that second form when he's using the Moonlight Greatsword and stuff. So that's already cool enough, but then someone, or a YouTube user, spad1782 responded 4 years ago and just says, "Yo, that is so badass. Chills, ...
I loved chills.
Yeah. But coupled with that, yo, that's so badass. Like, it's super cool. I wouldn't describe it as so badass, but yeah, the point still comes across. It is very cool.
Chills. This is actually a rare case. I do not normally go for like this is the one addition that I made here last minute to the YouTube comment oversharing corner. I do not normally go for the top comment. And you know, a lot of times it's just something dumb, and this is dumb too, but it got me real good. Because again, I want to like paint the picture. I'm listening to this and crying, like listening to Gehrman the First Hunter and crying. And then I see this comment from YouTube user at I'm Timon7928, who commented on Gehrman the First Hunter 3 years ago, and it's the top comment, and I'm just, you know, again, tears in my eyes reading this, and it got me real good. Are you winning, son? No one is winning here, Dad. ...
I mean, again, that's the perfect succinct summary of what that fight with Gehrman is. Which is also funny because, yeah, our last comment is also from Gehrman the First Hunter. This is coming from YouTube user Dusk. That's a great name. 5 years ago, this track is perfectly reflective of this final encounter. There is no glory in this fight. There is no triumph. There is not the extinguishing of a great threat to save the citizens of Yharnam as a whole, nor the conquest of a grand evil. It is a fight between two victims of circumstance who are willing to fight to the death in order to save the other. It is beautifully and tragically poetic in a way few other scores are. So to contrast that with Are You Winning, Son? No one is winning here, Dad, is perfect. Like these two are literally saying the exact same thing, just in very different ways.
Yeah, like that Duskits is so like verbose and like beautiful in the way they described the tragedy of that character and that ending, but at the same time I can't say that I'm Timon7928 didn't sum it up exactly the same way with Are You Winning, Son? No one's winning here, Dad.
You know what this reminds me of is the Final Fantasy VI episode when we had the Cyan's theme comments where the one dude was saying stuff about like the paralyzing moralism of the milieu and whatever.
Right.
And then someone else just said somebody poisoned the water hole.
YouTube comments are so good.
Yeah. Fantastic. And with that said, those were your YouTube comments for the Bloodborne episode of Bit Harmony. We don't have any voicemails this episode. We had a very, very late last minute voicemail. We'll just save it. We'll play it on the next episode. But as a reminder, you can send voicemails or texts over to us. You can email us at bitharmonypod@gmail.com or call in voicemails to 216-230-8540. That number again is 216-230-8540. If you're dialing in, you might want to keep those under 3 minutes because you get kicked off. If you're emailing us, do whatever you want. But yeah, that has been the bulk of the show. I'll let Seth take over a bit for the Patreon stuff, and we'll do our haikus and get out of here.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, please do check us out on Patreon. You get early access to this show. You get a bunch of other exclusive shows and perks and all that fun stuff. And again, at the $5 and up tier, you do get the exclusive mini episodes of this show. So if you're a fan of Bit Harmony, there is like a ton of Bit Harmony that is waiting for you over there on the Patreon. You can get a 7-day free trial over there and support what we do. We really appreciate it. And you can join the ranks of these fine folks that we think at the end of our episodes Bit Harmony is made possible by viewers like you. Thank you. Thanks to our Triforce tier supporters, Adam Caparello, Bowza, Quagmire, Dan and Luma, Danilina Hosa, SAZ, Foolish Fuji, John Cummins, Josh Vaughn, Ligerwoods 330, and Uncle Randy. And thank you to our Golden Banana tier supporters, Big Dogs Only, Bill Tucker, Gamer Jason, Hopple, Liam D, Old Drake, Phelan Ward, Rob Yapel, Shy Guy, Sean Ashton, Sparky, and Stephen Keller. We really appreciate y'all so much for your support on Patreon. Like I said, join their ranks, get that 7-day free trial to the Golden Banana tier, see what all the fuss is about, get your exclusive minis in. We're doing another one next week on Gunbrella that I'm really excited about. So a lot of stuff awaits you on Patreon.
Yeah, the mini train basically never stops at this point. And yeah, I'm also looking forward to that Gunbrella episode. As a reminder, our next full episode is November 2nd, and that is our season finale. We'll be taking a break for basically till the end of November at that point. That's going to be a quiz show. Fuya sent in a voicemail a couple months ago at this point requesting that we do that. Haven't worked out all the details yet, but we'll have it. If you want to participate in a way, at some point in the next couple days, as of the time of this recording, we're going to be sending a notice to the Discord. We're basically going to be seeing if anyone has any suggestions, and we'll have rules for like sending in songs to us and what you need to do to basically get your kind of footprint in that episode, essentially. I know that all sounds complicated. It's basically if you want to get a song in on the episode that Seth and I have to guess what it is, you will be able to do that. We'll send that out in the Discord. It's too complicated to get into over the podcast. So you gotta join the Discord if you want to take part in that, I think. With all that out of the way, then, haikus?
Yeah, let's do some haikus. I'll go first because mine's stupid.
Okay, mine's also stupid. But that's
mine's stupid and maybe even a cop out. Because I'll explain after I read it. Okay, and you'll see what I mean when I say this is a bit of a cop out, but I had to go for it. Mm-hmm. Ooh, majestic. A hunter is a hunter, even in a dream.
I don't think that's a cop-out. As you'll remember, or as maybe people will remember, for the WarioWare haiku, I just basically took like the instruction manual for birds and beans and just transformed it a little bit into a haiku. I think it's cool to turn like in-game dialogue or extra materials into a haiku. I think that's fun.
I didn't transform it at all. That's exactly what the line is. He just, in that brief moment, and maybe the most iconic voiced line in the entire game to me, speaks in a haiku accidentally. Mm. And when I realized that, I was like, I kind of have to.
Yeah, I agree, you kind of have to. I guess I'll just go with mine then. That's actually a real throat clear this time. My throat's real itchy right now. Eyes yet to open. Nintendo only gamer. My guiding moonlight. This is, of course, a reference to the fact that I mentioned it at the top of the show or near the top that, yeah, I was mostly a Nintendo gamer in 2015, and yeah, Bloodborne changed how I view the medium of games, and I hope that came through over how excited we sounded talking about the lore and stuff in Bloodborne. It really, what also came out in 2015 was Super Mario Maker, which was another dream game of mine, like an official Nintendo product that lets you make your own Mario levels. Like, that was literally a dream come true for me.
Yeah.
And in any other year, that would have been like my game of the year, probably like my game of the decade. But it came out the same year as Bloodborne, and as the time went on, I'm like, no, Bloodborne is the better game. I'm not. Again, Mario Maker is partially a tool. It's amazing too. Don't get me wrong, but that's just to underline just how this Nintendo-centric gamer, I don't even like the word gamer, but I just keep using it this episode, became a fan of, like, I don't know, more complex stuff beyond like platformers and whatever. I really owe like who I am. Like, this podcast wouldn't exist without Bloodborne. I probably would have never been joining Discord servers, and like I wouldn't have met Seth if it wasn't for like what Bloodborne did for me. So I felt it was important to give that an ode, I guess.
And like tying that into the My Guiding Moonlight line, mwah, chef's kiss. Excellent. Yes.
I feel like we kind of killed it this episode. The fact that I'm running off of 3 hours of sleep and I feel this awake right now, I think should go to show just how energized I felt by all of this. But sadly, all dreams must end, as well as this episode of Bit Harmony. Taking you out this episode is Lawrence, the First Vicar. That's composed by Tsukasa Saito. And we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.